One final best ball breakfast before the NFL draft. I am going to continue to press forward in the little board drafts, which still has not filled. All those contests, of course, locking on Thursday for the NFL draft. And then a special treat today. We're going to have a guest joining at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's none other than Dwain McFarland from Fantasy Life. We're going to talk some rookies, look at the supermodel, compare that to the underdog ADP, and draft a team with Dwain. We also have some announcements for So You Think You Can Tout. And on top of that, at the end of the show, I'm also going to announce the official summer best ball breakfast lineup. I know I've been teasing that a little bit. Finally got all of my ducks in a row there. But without further ado, let's get to it. Pete Overzet, best ball breakfast.
Welcome to hot best ball summer. You slurp that suspension dipperino, honey.
Easy to click on Rashad White when it's all site credits.
Exodia.
Put the puppy in the bag, bro. I'm trying to grow the goddamn game.
The game is beatable, folks.
Slap King Summer, bitches.
7,000 hours of commercial-free best ball drafts starts now.
All right. How are we doing? Chat popping off already. Let me get my desk set up. Goodness here. There we go. Yeah, Donnie, it is Marathon Monday. It used to be, that was one of the things I missed of my old corporate life. You'd always have Monday off here, getting to go check out the marathon. Always a good time. I actually got to indulge in a very special occasion yesterday because of the marathon. Mike Leone, as you guys know over at ETR, he's here rooting on his brother-in-law in the marathon today. So I was actually able to meet up with him last night for a bit. So got to see the Leones, and yeah, the city's popping. Everybody's ready to run. It seems like the weather for the first, couple hours is going to be solid, and then not so sure for the second half if they're going to get rain or not, but should be a good time as always. What's up, Perfectly Cromulent, listening on the way to work. Best of luck drafting. Thank you. I need it. Oh, and yes, how could I forget? 420 as well. What a day. Very chill. Marathon Monday. 420s ablaze. What more could you ask for? What's up here? We got JPDLFF. We got Josh. We got Craig, Frankie, Chad, who's been broadcasting live from a train this morning. What's up, Steven? Philly Phantom. JM Mike Check. What's the weekend highlight looking like? Dude, I have a really funny story for you, J Mike. And the highlight honestly was yesterday afternoon, meeting up with Leone. It was good seeing him. But I'll tell you a really funny story real quick here. And, April she's 3.5 now. She barely naps these days. She'll nap in the car, occasionally in the stroller, but she does not take naps in her bed anymore. But yesterday we were out and about in the morning. We were busy. We come home from some errands and she falls asleep in the car, and we're kind of just, unloading the car. We're letting her still just continue her nap. And eventually I kind of check in on her, and her eyes are starting to, flutter open. And so I'm like, all right, April, let's go inside. But as I'm carrying her up the stairs, she falls asleep again, and she's just asleep in my arms. And I just go and sit on the chair in her room, the little rocking chair. And we're sitting there, and I'm just having this really nice moment where April is asleep in my arms. And that hasn't happened in a long time, just because she barely naps, etc. And I had this thought. I was like, this might be the last time my daughter ever falls asleep in my arms. I was like, maybe not, but it could be. It could be. And so I was just really enjoying this moment with April. We're rocking there for 5 to 10 minutes, very peaceful, very serene. And next thing you know, April's starting to get a little restless. She wakes up. She rips the loudest fart that I've heard from her in a long time. And she looks up at me, and her first words after waking up is, "Smell my butt, Dad." So that was how that beautiful moment with my daughter, April, and I, it did. Just me thinking this could be the last time, her ripping a fart in my face and then asking me to smell her butt. So that was a highlight for me, J Mike, and a moment I will probably never forget. But moving on, good morning, Pete. I'm stoked as a Commanders fan living in Pittsburgh. I will be attending the first day of the NFL draft. Let's go. I love the question mark at the end. You don't know whether to be excited or not. I've been to one NFL draft. It was the one in Philadelphia. I forget what year that was. It must have been like 2016, 2017. It was the year that the Titans took Corey Davis really high in the draft. But yeah, the draft's a good time, man. It's a good time. What's up, Eggers? What's up, Historical? What's up, Frankie Dash? Rohin? What is up? Emo, GMs. Yes, you guys know she got me. She got me very good. Yeah, so there you go, J Mike. I legitimately thought of you when after that moment happened, and I was like, when J Mike asked me for a highlight from the weekend, I at least have a good one to share there. I am parched on a couple of fronts, so I need a big swig of water, and then I'm going to have my first coffee of the morning as well. But how are you guys doing in the chat? How are we doing on this draft week? Are you guys done drafting? Are you're still doing your UDFAs? What's good with you guys? All right, there's my water. Time for the coffee. Unfortunately, I did think I accidentally did a little clinking there with the coffee pot and the cup. So I'm, I apologize to our autistic commenter who has tissed me on that before. Sweet Leaf. I mean, talk about an appropriate username here. Picked up a new strain from the dispensary called Slaps for 420. Slappy Happy Drafting. There you go. There you go. All right. I say we get into it because we are going to have Dwain coming by at 11, and I want to do a draft before Dwain joins us. So let's get popping here. I know a lot of you guys have already finished your big boards. I get it, but I have not. We made a good run last week. We have 10 more left. Let's get this going here. 8 more people needed for this little board draft. And actually, let me share the window. And then we will be good to go. I guess what we had the big Schefter news dump this morning. I mean, it was I guess the AJ Brown stuff, it's like we already all knew that he was gone after June 1st. I guess Schefter explicitly saying it was to the New England Patriots is kind of interesting. Again, that has been the most likely destination. But to have him say it so explicitly, I guess, moves us further in that direction. I guess the other interesting thing from his report was that the Cardinals could be considering Jeremiah Love at 3. I don't know if I'm really buying that, other than trying to create a bit of a trade market, knowing that he is a coveted player there for a few different teams, probably trying to drive up the price to see if they can get anyone to skip the queue and give him a couple extra draft picks in the process. It would seem wild to me. I mean, it's going to seem wild to me to whoever takes him in the top 10 or whatever. But the Cardinals, after paying Tyler Algier, bringing back James Conner, spending a second-round pick on Trey Benson, 2 years ago, it would seem like a very hilarious use of draft capital. All right, what do we got? We got the 1-6 here. The 1-6, Philly Phantom is in here. The Chosen D's. M-Dub. Whoa, okay. We're already off to a fast start. Lamar Jackson going at 1-4. Lamar Jackson going at 1-4 here. I am going to take Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. I'm going to get the solver popping here as well. What do we think? Lamar Jackson from this J. Swez? We think victim of star method or gigantic Baltimore Ravens super fan? I guess we'll never know unless Jay Swez is in the chat and wants to reveal to us their thought process here. Steven joined 20 little board slows right before lock. Oh, yeah, I forgot to send out my T's and P's to everyone in slow draft hell right now. I've seen some screenshots of the horror stories. Galaxy Brain multi-table a UDFA 3. Maybe after Dwain, if we're feeling it, I could close out my little boards with like a massive multi-table situation. I don't know if I got enough feedback to know if people actually like the multi-table or not. If you missed it last week, I multi-tabled 5 little boards at once. And I would say for the first 75% of the drafts, they were going pretty smooth. I was like, all right, I'm cooking. I got this. And then had, I think, 3 or 4 auto picks and was pretty upset about a few of them. Mason says, I feel like the Commanders is the most likely spot for Love. I don't know about most likely, but I love that fit. Like, I think for fantasy purposes, of all the spots in the top 10, if we work under the assumption that no one's trading up and he's not falling out of the top 10, I think Commanders is by far the most interesting for fantasy. Little running mate for Jaden Daniels, virtually no backfield competition. All right, back on the clock. Omarion Hampton here. Neighbors. Let me refresh so I see what the solver is liking here. Trey McBride. I keep doing like these 0 RB builds. Sure, we can do Trey McBride. I've been skeptical of Hampton here at this price. We'll do JSN Trey McBride. Yeah, Agers joined me in the multi-draft extravaganza last week. I think Agers was doing it on his phone though. Like I barely draft on my phone. I can't imagine ripping 5. That was impressive and or stupid. Maybe a little bit of both. All right. All right, let's see here. What is going on? This draft's going to get thrown out. This dude took Emmett Johnson in the 2nd round and then Khalil Shakur in the 3rd. What's going on? Do I really need to push the plane on a little board draft? Come on. Lamar Jackson, Emmett Johnson, and Khalil Shakur. We need to all try to play detective on like what is the narrative through line to what this individual is doing. All right, let's take Nico. We'll just scoop the ADP value if this guy's gonna go rogue. Normally, with these selections, there's some kind of theme to them. You know, it's like, oh, they really like the idea of quarterbacks, or they like players from one team because they think it's a Super Bowl contest or whatever. But this rainbow flop of Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, Emmett Johnson, rookie running back, and Khalil Shakur is just, I don't know if I could think of 3 more disparate players to take. Unbelievable. I think we do push the plane. Like I don't care if we end up keeping this. Let me make sure that my, I'm going to do position limit. I'm going to do 3 quarterbacks, 9 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. I'm going to set my position limits here. I'm going to boost up stacking it, although that's not even going to help me. This is what we're going to do. We're jumping in another one. I will be devastated if I spend all this time on it and it gets tossed out. And if it doesn't get tossed out, then whatever. We'll keep tabs on it though. We'll call it a soft multi-table. It'll be a soft multi-table. We need 4 more for this next one. $420. That's the only explanation. All right, we're going to do another one. We got the 103 here. All right. Unbelievable shit right here. We're going to keep this window open because I want to see what this asshole does the rest of the draft. They go, no, they're behind us this time. They're behind us. I'm going to take Zay. Who can guess? I'll send somebody a free Best Ball Breakfast mug if they guess what this next Jay Swez pick is going to be. But all entries have to be in before he selects. Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins. What are we doing? What are we doing? All right. All right, we are on the clock in our new draft. And this same guy's in here? Are you fucking kidding me? He takes Lamar Jackson at 2. What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm telling Numi right now. All right. Numi, there's a terrorist in all of my little board drafts right now. Jay Suez. Jay, are you in the chat? God damn it. What? Can Jay Suez remain irrational for longer than I can remain solvent? Is this going to be just another multi-draft extravaganza here? I can't believe it. He's in every lobby. Does he have ranks set? So then he just did Trevion Henderson. So now he's back. Now he's back on the straight and narrow. All right, whatever. I guess we're just going to draft these teams. Let's do David Montgomery here. We'll get our first running back. We'll go Monty at running back, JSN, Nico, Zay, and Trey McBride. I like how we have some people trying to play. Not for real. Jay Swez defenders. Fantasy Football Garage says Lamar Jackson is due for the largest positive regression at the quarterback position, but this is egregious. He keeps taking the same players in every draft. So does he have rankings set? Did he have rankings set and then push the plane? But those must be the most bizarre rankings you've ever seen. Yeah, so I guess what part of me really wants to troll him back. Part of me really wants to take Emmett Johnson in round 2, but then I just become part of the problem. All right, here we go. I'm going to pick, and then we will see. The pattern it would be that Jay Swez takes Emmett Johnson in round 2 again. All right, I'm on the clock. I'm just going to keep doing the unique combos. Gibbs and Drake London, I assume, is pretty rare. I need to sync my exposures as well here, but let's see. What does he do? Yeah, he goes Emmett Johnson. This dude set ranks with Emmett Johnson as his like RB3 and then Shakir. Unbelievable. Sure. Yeah, I'll take Brock Bowers in the 3rd. Back on this other one. Sure. We could do Mekhi Lemon. No running backs to take here. We could also take Jaden, but let's push QB. I don't think I have a ton of lemon. Well, they're only $3 drafts, so who cares? But it's also disappointing to not get to draft in a real landscape. That's just how it goes. Yeah, so he's drafting off of 5 ranked players, and then it's auto drafting for him. He was waiting in these for 8 hours. Numi's filling me in here. So there you go. We're going to press onward, though. We're going to press onward. I mean, as someone who's taken a decent amount of Emmett Johnson, I mean, look at my exposures. My number 1 exposed running back is Emmett Johnson, 40.6% across 32 teams. So I really hope Jay Swez is correct. If Emmett Johnson returns round 2 value, I am going to be theoretically rich in little board EV. All right, back on the clock. Solver likes the running backs for us here, Ramondre or Jalen Warren. I'm in agreement. Let's do Ramondre with David Montgomery here. All right, did I sync those? Yeah. All right, let's refresh these for our exposure updates here. Oh, man. Wait, why is... I'm not a Ladd McConkey guy, but Ladd McConkey at pick 46. Sure. I guess we're just going to take the... We're just going to take the fallers. I mean, win in Rome. Win in a draft room with Jay Swez. There you go. Get Jaden Higgins. Got to get Jaden Higgins in the 4th round. Let's see. Trevion's here. Montgomery's here. Man, I have not taken Jalen Waddle once. Do my eyes deceive me? I haven't. I'm pretty sure I took a Terry McLaurin share, right? Wow. All right, let's do a Waddle. I did enough teams last year with Jahmyr Gibbs and Trevion Henderson. It is true. I'm just mad I'm getting sniped on Emmett. My keyboard sounds like Decepticon. I got to keep up with Nerdy Tenor. You know, once Nerdy Tenor stopped streaming quite as much and we didn't get the tones of his aggressive keyboard, I had to step in and fill the void. All right, let's try to... I think I owe you guys some recaps here. Jalen Warren comes all the way back. I was debating between him and Ramondre in the first place. Certainly could make the case to pull the trigger on a quarterback here, although no stack stuff. Yeah, we'll do Jalen Warren as our RB3. So in our first Jay Swez draft, David Montgomery, Ramondre, and Jalen Warren. We got JSN, Nico Zay, and Lemon at wide receiver, Trey McBride at tight end. So that team's in good shape. Just needs quarterbacks. But with Darnold, Stroud, we got some options there. Then the other team has Gibbs, Drake London, Ladd, Waddle, Bowers. All right. I think we should be synced on exposures now appropriately. Jonathan says Jay Swez is doing a draft version of telling Pete to smell his butt. Exactly. Back on the clock. Do we do 2 lemon drafts? 2 lemon drafts. I also still like Hurts in this range, but sure. Let's boost our lemon exposure. This is I think our 2nd share, 3rd share, I guess now. Bo Nix potentially here. Stafford here. I could also get Blake Corum, who I always enjoy clicking. Should we keep pushing it at quarterback and take Corum? I think so. This is kind of like an ideal 0 RB room Again, we've been talking about that. Like, what does it look like if you do actually pull it off? You wait until round 5 to get your first one. I guess when we were doing the experiments on stream previously, we waited until after round 5. But Montgomery, Ramondre, Jalen Warren, Corum, not a bad 4. And you pair those guys with JSN, Nico, Zay, and Lemon, and you have Trey McBride. And now we just see if we can land the plane at quarterback. Do I like Lemon? Yeah, I do. I do like him. I love the draft capital that it looks like he's going to get. I do think there could be some kind of landmines for landing spot in that range, like Dolphins and Jets, I don't think would be ideal. A popular mock for him has been the Rams, which I think would be pretty nice, honestly. Just getting competent quarterback play, even if, the volume isn't as high as in some other spots. But yeah, I like him as a player. I think he can pay off this draft cost. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Friedman's been routinely mocking him to the Rams. Yeah. Yeah, Dolphins at 11, Jets at 16. Those feel kind of dicey to me. It doesn't seem like he's going to go past like the Jets at 16, though, would be probably the floor on him, right? All right, 2 picks away on this 0 RB team. The question is, do we just grab? I think we can't mess around too much at quarterback here, even though we're ahead of ADP. I think we need to start stacking some of these guys. Let's just grab Darnold here first. I do, of course, love Concepcion and Worthy and Downs here, but one of those things where the team could go to shit really quickly if I fuck around and find out too much at quarterback. Back on the clock here, Bo Nix, Ricky Pearsall, Dobbins. Let's set up some of this Broncos stuff. This team has Waddle. Should be able to get Bo Nix coming back. So let's grab Dobbins here. We'll go Dobbins, Waddle, and hopefully Nix. Lemon drop is going to be a very vicious burn. When Jay says gives you lemons. Yeah, this is an easy click here to take Bo Nix. Our first quarterback on this team, we have Waddle, we have Dobbins. So this one now is Nix at quarterback, Gibbs and Dobbins at running back. We got I auto-drafted Parker Washington. Didn't even notice that. Great. I finally capitulate to the Parker Washington heads. It's fine. Drake London, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Waddle, Mekhi Lemon, Parker Washington. Brock Bowers at tight end. Didn't know that I selected Parker Washington. In the spirit of locking up these quarterbacks, CJ Stroud with Nico makes a ton of sense. All of those wide receivers I was tempted by, Concepcion, Downs, Worthy, they all go. So now we have our top 2 wide receivers stacked up. Darnold to JSN, Stroud to Nico on this second team. Kiss my third leg. What is up, my homies? NFL draft is almost here. Indeed, we are going to have our annual ship chasing Thursday night round 1 draft extravaganza. The whole crew's going to be there. Guests swinging by. Always a fun time. Some iconic moments over the years from those streams. And even if this NFL draft doesn't seem to have quite as much intrigue as previous years, I'm sure we'll have some surprises along the way. So you guys can tune into that. We'll kick off Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. There's not going to be any other shows this week on the Ship Chasing channel other than that main draft show on Thursday night. Davis said he couldn't stay up past his bedtime 2 nights this week, so we had to choose which one. Thank you, Bindles. Appreciate you as always. Gifted membership there. I'm not sure if we're going to have a bash this week. I don't know if contests will will be in the lobby or not on Thursday afternoon. We'll probably take this week off from the bash, and then next week we'll hit the ground running with our first Best Ball Mania bash of the year, which will be very fun. All right, we're back almost on the clock here. And we are on the clock in 2 spots. Could not get these spread out, could we? Man, do I want to do another quarterback thing here? I've been saying I want to get a little more Jonathan Brooks. Let's do Jonathan Brooks. And then if we want to do something with like Bryce Young as our QB3, and then over here, let's get another Xavier Worthy share. I need to think through the quarterback stuff. Herbert's gone with Ladd. I already have too much Michael Penix with Drake London. I have Bo Nix with Waddle. Lawrence is gone with Parker Washington. Mahomes is gone. I guess we have like the Mendoza thing with Brock later. This might be the spot to do a naked Malik Willis. I think that's the lesson I need to learn here. All right, we're going to take Malik Willis. Yes, Kadarius Toney, one of the all-time great ship-chasing draft moments. That's what makes me feel really old, man. There's lots of things that make me feel old, but having an iconic moment of a player in the NFL draft who's now no longer in the league, the fact that we've lived like an NFL career lifetime doing those draft streams, even like the Laird stuff puts that in perspective for me. The whole initial Laird bit was when he was a rookie and he played for his entire rookie contract. Time flies, man. Time flies. Abo says, my true serum on 420. Last year's goal was to beat the solver. Pride in not having a desktop. Actually, let me make a quick pick here. All right. I said I was going to do the Bryce Young thing, and now he's here. But let's finish this true serum here. Pride in not having a desktop wouldn't allow me to capitulate having a change of heart this year. And Pete, I was the Avengers tout video. Yes, I liked your video, brother. Yeah, I would say like, I don't think, the solver, it's a tool to help you stay organized, right? It allows you to stay on track. It allows you to not miss things that you might otherwise miss, specifically when you're multi-tabling, which I appreciate. But yeah, it's just a way to help you stay organized, help you stay on track, and not have to juggle as many things in your head, which can be hard to do if you're trying to balance exposures, manage your stacking. But as always, you guys can use promo code Pete. You can get 20% off the solver. There are 2 different price points. So the $34.99 subscription, that covers any drafts at $99 or less entry fees. And then if you are doing drafts at 100 or more total entry fees, then the $74.99 a month subscription is what you're looking for. But that promo code Pete will get you 20% off. And I just timed out on Dallas Goedert. But again, not a bad timeout, actually. Not a bad timeout. Needed a tight end too. I like Dallas Goedert. I think he's a good value at 142, especially with A.J. Brown on the move. And now the question is, do we want to push QB3 here? Do we do Tyrone Tracy? Tyrone Tracy, we probably need a third running back here. All we have is Gibbs and Dobbins. Man, these 2 drafts are synced up in a way that is very frustrating to me. And I hate these wide receiver options here. Man, I really don't like this. All right, I'm going to do James Conner at the last minute, which just getting another body in this running back room, that James Conner pick is going to age horrendously if the Cardinals do take Jeremiah Love. But man, I did not see the vision. Like positionally, I need a 5th wide receiver here. I have JSN, Nico, Zay, and Lemon. But I just hate this range of the draft board for wide receivers. Naylor, Ridley, Tesla, AD Mitchell, Booty. I'd rather just get down get down deep here first. Yeah, that didn't feel fun. Yeah, honestly, I've had 2 auto drafts this morning, and they haven't been awful. Dallas Goedert as my tight end 2, 8 picks past ADP, and then the other one was Parker Washington. That one I wish I could have back. Like, what was the running back I would have taken when I selected Parker Washington? So I took him at 7-3. Jeez, I got to be back on the clock here. Sure, we'll do AJ Barner as our tight end 2. We have Darnold, and I still can't get interested in these wide receivers. Maybe we'll take Tank Dell in a second to stack up with Stroud. What was I looking at? Yeah, I wanted to see if I didn't auto draft Parker Washington, who I would have selected. Yeah, I could have taken Ramondre again. I could have taken Chuba. I think Tyson is a bigger upside swing when you already have 4 wide receivers. I could have taken him. I could have pulled up a quarterback here. Yeah, just not great stuff there from me. Not great stuff. I need more coffee, I think, is the moral of the story here. So I lost out on even Mendoza. I guess we could do Kirk later. I could really use another running back here. Let's do the Brian Robinson thing. We have Drake London. I think the Brian Robinson handcuff play is like pretty damn clean behind Algier. I think there's a lot of messiness. I guess you could say the same thing about Pacheco, but I already have Gibbs, and I just feel a lot better about the juice Brian Robinson has at this point compared to Pacheco. Dylan Sampson's always fun too. I guess we'll keep pushing that third quarterback. Let's do Dylan Sampson as a 4th running back. Try to get a little more youth in here. We have Gibbs, Dobbins, Tracy, and Robinson. For multi-tabling only 2 drafts, I feel like I'm on the clock every single second. I've been wanting to pour more coffee for the past 10 minutes. And these picks have been unrelenting. Maybe everybody else pushed the plane as well. All right, I'll finally give in and get a 5th wide receiver here. This is the Stroud-Darnold team. We'll take Tank Dell as our wide receiver 5. Has anyone heard anything new about Tank Dell? Do we have any updated information? Chris says Naylor and Tesla both seem to have a penchant for TDs. Neither of them is terrible in a best ball format. I don't disagree a ton. I think for me, guys like that would be pretty exclusive for stacking purposes. I don't love them as one-offs, especially like you're saying, like the whole point is the touchdown stuff. So I'd rather just get the double whammy with the quarterback. And if I'm hunting for a true breakout, like we just know, at least on Naylor, we know who he is as a player. I think we pretty much know who Tesla is. I think I'd rather just take higher upside swings unless I'm correlating. As the man who led the charge for the fastest draft ever, drafting 2 at once should feel like a piece of cake. It should, and yet I've timed out twice today. All right, should we get Jeremy Bernard? So we do have, what's the Zachary Branch news? I literally didn't even read the police report. It was some kind of bullshit thing. He got, what did he get? Like arrested or a citation for blocking the sidewalk? Is that what it was? He was arrested early Sunday morning in Athens, Georgia on 2 possible misdemeanor charges. He was booked at 1:26 a.m. and released at 3:44 a.m. This is why I time out on picks, is because I get distracted, like looking up Zachariah Branch stuff. All right, I think what we'll do here, this is the Malik Willis team. I don't mind Malik Washington on Malik Willis teams. They're clearly going to draft someone in the first couple rounds, if not the first round. But Malik Washington should still have a role there. But let's see. According to local media, Branch was in attendance for Georgia's spring game. He failed to comply with multiple verbal lawful commands to not block a public sidewalk. Okay. All right. Who do we want as our third quarterback here? I mean, Rodgers is the most likely to play, but we also have, you know what I might do? I might do just like a bullshit 4-quarterback build here. Do Tua, do Kirk Cousins, and pray that they cobble together QB3 production. This team is the Stroud team. And also the Darnold team. So we can keep doing Torrey Horton here. Fortunately, Dwain is going to be coming here in the next 15 or so minutes to put me out of my multi-table misery. I think we have a few seconds for coffee, though. All right, the chat has jokes and some truth tellers. He was arrested by racist cops in Georgia. Jesse says he wasn't able to successfully evade the police since he's used to running 1-yard routes. Yeah, I'm sure that would have worked out well for him if he tried to fully evade the police. All right, this team, we are so close to being done with this team. 2 picks. We have a 3-6-7-2. We have Darnold triple stack. We have a CJ Stroud double stack. Man, I have not seen Xavier Legette's name in a hot minute. You know what I think I'd rather do? Even though it is a little dicey taking a Carolina tight end, they have been a rumored spot for Sadiq. Let's do Legette. I mean, I don't think he's very good. But he's a guy who's on the same team as my quarterback, Bryce Young. That's all I got. Could he spike for a touchdown in an important week? That's as much enthusiasm as I can muster for clicking Xavier Legette. I'm always happy to get back on my Pat Bryant bullshit, especially when I have Bo Nix. Solver likes it as well here. Top option. I promise I'll recap these teams. These picks are going so fast, partly because Jay Swez is on auto draft mode. We have a final pick. Let's do the Dulcich thing. I don't need a third tight end, but I guess I probably need another running back more. But I mean, we are in some truly sick shit here. I guess we're just going to ride with Gibbs, Dobbins, Tracy, Brian Robinson, and Sampson. Not great, but. And then we're going to make this 20th final pick over here. What do we want over here? I think our running backs are fine. Probably another wide receiver. So we just rip it all in on the Texans. We'll do Jalen Knoll. All right, these teams were a freaking blur, man. Sam Darnold, CJ Stroud, and Bryce Young at quarterback here. What an uninspiring quarterback room. The running backs, quasi 0 RB, I guess 0 RB, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, Jalen Warren, Blake Corum, Jonathan Brooks, James Conner. I think that's fine. Wide receivers, JSN, Nico, Zay, and Lemon. Really strong top 4. And then Tank Dell, Jeremy Bernard, Torrey Horton, Xavier Legette, Jalen Knoll. Tight ends, Trey McBride, and AJ Barner. So this is a 0 RB team that's pretty heavily correlated. The Darnold triple stack, Stroud onslaught, Stroud, Montgomery, Nico, Jalen Knoll, and Tank Dell. Basically everybody except Jaden Higgins, who of course Jay Swez had because he had to take Jaden Higgins in round 4. And then Carolina, Young, Brooks, and Legette. So heavily correlated team there. I kind of don't mind this one. McBride Barner is solid at tight end. I guess it's like, can that wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 spot give me something? Because I'm very, very top heavy at wide receiver. And then let's land the plane over here. Geez, someone even took. I need a running back fast, folks. I need a running back fast. Claiborne, let's do a rookie. I was going to do Kirk Cousins and do like the Frankenstein QB3 thing. This actually reminds me, speaking of sacrilegious, Chris Burkle says sacrilegious is going to add Jay Swez to his spreadsheet. I booked sacrilegious for Saturday night after dark. We did this show last year. So this is for YouTube members if you're the Best Ball Value Towns tier or higher. But it's basically getting ready for BBM opening weekend or opening day and looking at where we think ADPs are going to move in relation to what happened in the draft. So become a YouTube member at that Best Ball Value Hounds tier. That will get you access to all of the After Dark archives. The show Saturday with Sacrilegious will be very time boxed in that it's going to be all about how to take advantage of the opening ADPs in BBM. But in general, the After Dark conversations are extremely evergreen. For instance, I talked with Nick Ercolano from BDGE on Friday night. We had a really fun, wide-ranging conversation about AI, content creation, how the two come together, and always enjoy talking to Nick. He's just really thoughtful and sharp with how he approaches content in business. And I think the way he is integrating AI into what they do is just like very smart, and yet, you know, keeping the heart of their brand intact with what they do. So if you like conversations like that, inside baseball, meta conversations about content, you will enjoy that conversation with Nick. And yeah, the After Dark shows are so much fun. Had Denny Carter on 2 weeks before as well. And loved catching up with Denny, talking about a lot of things there as well. So become a YouTube member, take advantage of all of those premium shows. And I will recap this team. This is the team that had multiple auto drafts on it. And I don't think I like this team at all. I mean, the quarterback room of Bo Nix, Malik Willis, and Tua is pretty damn weak. The running back room is fine. Gibbs, Dobbins, Tracy, Brian Robinson, Dylan Sampson, Damon Claiborne. The wide receivers are strong. London, Ladd, Waddle, Lemon, Parker Washington, Xavier Worthy, Malik Washington, and Pat Bryant. Tight ends are solid. Bowers, Goddard, Dulcich. So this team has stacking. Nix, Dobbins, Waddle, and Pat Bryant. It has Malik Willis, Malik Washington, and Dulcich. Tua, Brian Robinson, in London. But I think the running back room is, I don't know. The running back room is fine. The quarterback room sucks. Nix, Willis, and Tua. Yeah. Thank you, Jay Swez, for that. You know, really threw us off our game this morning. But no excuses. Draft like a champion. 420. BBB. Jay Swez. I doubt they're actually going to get thrown out just because it ended up being after ADP or based on ADP after that. But we shall see. Aaron Kenny has been a member for 29 months and is hitting me with the vomit emoji. I don't know what it's about, but I trust that it's warranted. What is up, Steph? I'd tell you not to scroll up, but I know you won't. GM Tyler. Rickadoozle enjoyed the pod with Nick. Yeah, that is true. Malik and Washington stacks there. Double Washingtons, Parker and Malik, and double Malik's, Malik Willis. There you go. So one thing I was getting ready before the show was comparing some of Dwain's supermodel rankings to running back position on Underdog. You know, and some of them he's very, very close to the market, like Jeremiah Love is RB1 in the supermodel, RB1 on Underdog. But then you start to deviate a little bit the further down you get. So we'll touch base with Dwain on that in a second. You know what? I actually think now would be a good time to announce what the Best Ball Breakfast lineup is going to be starting next week, a week from today. We do, unfortunately, have some turnover. Mike Leone is not going to be back this year. He's kind of taking more time off in the offseason so he can gear up and be ready for all of his in-season content responsibilities. So that's the bad news. But we have 2 new additions to the regular Best Ball Breakfast lineup this year that I'm very excited about. So here it is, without further ado. Actually, can I use my StreamYard has drum roll. They have drum roll sound effects. How could I not use the drum roll sound effects right now? Oh my goodness. Where are you? Here we go. Where's the drum roll? Where is it? Here we go. Okay, we even get a cymbal at the end. One more. All right, there it is on screen. Best Ball Breakfast starting next week through the start of the season. Every Monday, 10 a.m. solo draft with me. 11 a.m. a draft with my cash game nemesis and co-founder at CEO, Mr. Adam Levitan. He will be drafting with me every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Then at noon Eastern, the defending Best Ball Mania champ himself, Sam Sherman, will be drafting. And then we will be, of course, capping things off with Pat Kerrane, who has been my summer co-host on Best Ball Breakfast since its inception. Pat Kerrane will be joining at 1 p.m. So this will be every single Monday. Going to be a very fun show there. We'll get 4 drafts. We might even do a little more even at the end of these streams. They're going to be long streams. I think I'm going to use the end of some of these streams to do voting for So You Think You Can Tout. We're going to have some live voting elements that I want you guys making decisions on with the show. So that'll be at the end. And we might even have some rotating guests as well. Last year, I enjoyed doing that. People from around the industry that obviously aren't doing the show every week, but I'd still like to draft with. So Best Ball Breakfast going to be a very fun block of streaming. Like I said, that kicks off a week from today. A week from today, we will be just getting ready to have Adam Levitan join us on Best Ball Breakfast. So I'm very stoked about this lineup. Always hard to move on from some of our favorites. Love drafting with Sean Siegel 2 years ago. Love drafting with Leone last year, but have to respect their time and their wishes, and can't strong arm them too much. But I think we got an awesome lineup. I think the variety of Adam, Sam, and Pat is going to be very strong for the show. Looks like you guys are stoked on the lineup. Yeah, getting Levy on Underdog. It's going to be good. I know, man. It blows my mind. Rohan says, oh my God, it's almost hot best ball summer. It's crazy. Yeah. Next week is going to be super busy for me because obviously the draft stuff, Best Ball Breakfast launching, but the applications for So You Think You Can Tout, those are locking on Thursday night as well. Friday, I'm going to be recording with Pat Mayo, and it might take some time once we're done recording to get that video made, but that's going to be the first episode of So You Think You Can Tout, is us reviewing the applications. And then from there, I'll have some announcements on who's going to make the cut, but I cannot wait to go through a lot of the video submissions with Pat Mayo. And another reminder here, and I think it's pinned in the chat, but I decided to make a separate YouTube channel for So You Think You Can Tout. And this was actually a conversation I had with Nick Ercolano on After Dark, and he convinced me that I was making a mistake not having a separate channel. So make sure you guys subscribe to that. This is going to be the exclusive location for all of that coming up. I'm going to drop this in the chat again. I have uploaded the 3 existing videos that were posted on the Deposit Kingdom channel, but going forward, all of it will be on this channel. So if you can please subscribe, I would appreciate that. So You Think You Can Tout on YouTube there. All right. But without further ado, our guest of honor is here. Let me get my my overlays in order. We'll get my guest up here. It's none other than Mr. Dwain McFarland. Dwain, how are we doing here, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I was trying to draft teams this morning, and there was a rogue terrorist in the rooms who was he took Emmett Johnson in round 2 both times. So I was a little tilted about that, but I've calmed down now.
Well, look, if someone's got to have Emmett Johnson, in round 2, and that's just like what they have to do, I mean, there's really not much you can do about it. I'm sure you found a nice pivot though, Pete. You do enough of these that you're not a guy that panics. You're not a guy that panics.
Well, I don't, you know what I noticed, Dwayne, you're right. I wasn't panicking, but I was getting timed out on players I didn't, willingly select myself. So it's what goes down. I mean, have you drafted any teams, or have you just been like deep in the rookie lab right now?
I've been deep in the rookie lab. I think I've drafted like 3 teams so far. Yeah. So, and part of that is like, me, I love drafting. The problem is once I start, Pete, I can't stop. Number one, and you got other things that we're trying to work on and get done at Fantasy Life. So part of it is also not just like a monetary budget thing. It's also a time budget thing. And once I start, man, I can't help myself. I do the same thing once I get into like, regular season mode, right? And we start getting into the FFPC and NFFC and the real-time sports and all those. So I've kind of learned just to wait a little bit. And also like, it kind of keeps it where it's, and I love listening to all the drafts and everything all year long. I listen to your stuff, and I try to keep a pulse on it. I'm always looking at ADP, but there's this part of me that like tries to keep it pure, like where I still just am like so elated to finally be drafting fantasy football teams again. So like there's a few different things going on, but the biggest thing is once I start, I just don't think I have the self-restraint, to to moderate myself the rest of the way.
No, I'm the same way. My rule pre-draft has been I only draft on stream. So, because I'm the same way. Like once I open the Pandora's box of slow drafts, doing it out and about, then it's like, oh, I'll squeeze it in here. And it's like, no, I need to build that wall right now, because we know once the summer hits and things are happening, that itch and desire to draft all the time, we're going to be doing it then. So might as well pace ourselves, right?
Absolutely. So look, I love best ball though, just because the amount of information we get around the market is just so much more than what we used to have. Can you imagine? Think just 10 years ago, Pete, we literally were basically the way that, drafts were going were just off of industry ranks. That's how everything started. But now it's like, we really have this whole other entity that can be, and projections and rankings and all those things, obviously from different sites and stuff like that, still drive it. But I just think it's so cool that I think more than ever, people just have their own takes, right? And people are constantly plugged into the news and the information, and it's fascinating to watch the players move around. Sometimes too much, maybe sometimes not enough, and that's the thing. You're trying to figure out where are the values now that the market has shifted. Do you want to go with the market? Do you want to be against the market? It's just it's fascinating to me.
For sure, and I wonder if that effect is compounded by this draft class being a little weak. And I feel like the tiers are a little longer. They're a little murkier, and everyone has their own flavors. I mean, you could talk about RB3, or something like that. You'll hear cases for any of those guys. I'm curious, obviously the supermodel is baking in so many of those inputs that are valuable and statistically significant. Are there any spots, and I have running backs pulled up right now on screen, where the supermodel is starting to deviate from consensus or big board in a way that makes you like uncomfortable or want to recheck things? Are there any players that are particularly tricky for you?
I don't. More so, a receiver is where it gets tricky for me. At running back, like it's we've got Jeremiah Love, like tier break, right? And then with no names in those tiers, and then you really get to everyone else. So I don't really blame anyone this year. That's just kind of like, after Love's off the board, I just kind of have like the player I want. I personally do differ a little bit. Like if you go look at my rookie ranks on the site versus what the supermodel has at the running backs, there's a little bit of a differentiation. And basically kind of where I've put my chip is I just want guys that I've seen be every down backs in college, right? They've shown they can play on pass downs. They've shown they can stay on the field inside the 5-yard line, because there's not special traits around a lot of these players or profiles once you get past Jeremiah Love. So my thought is like, we're probably drafting someone that's going to be a backup on their team. You're hoping that they land in a weak running back room. Maybe the starter fumbles or something, and you're on a team with a coach with an old stodgy, kind of Tom Coughlin personality. It's like, let's get this other guy out of here. He's fumbling. And that could open the door for a Jonah Coleman, right? Jonah Coleman is like not elite in any area, but he's really good in multiple areas. I could see him becoming like a coach's pet, like really quickly. Doesn't fumble, doesn't drop the ball, can pick up the blitz, does everything well, right? You don't look at Jonah Coleman and be like, wow, man, this guy might be, like one of the best playmakers in the league. But when it comes to the running back stuff, if you can get on the field and you can be out there in most of the situations, that's just going to unlock fantasy points. And it can be a scenario where starter goes down and you get to play Jonah Coleman, or Emmett Johnson's another one, for 5 weeks, right? And that ultimately could be 15 to 20 fantasy points per game, just because they're good enough to be out there in all the situations. Now, like the flip side of those guys is if you're looking just for the athletic traits, right? And you're like, hey, I want a ceiling here that, like, if this guy went off, it could be massive. And the challenge with that is, like, Mike Washington Jr. has that. And he has Kyle Shanahan written all over him. Like, I wrote that when I first wrote my notes up around the rookie supermodel for running backs, like over 6 weeks ago now. And Nick Singleton could be another one, but at least he has shown that he can be a receiver in college. But, most of the film people that watch Nick Singleton, they're like, this guy doesn't know how to run. He might have been the number one prospect in his class, was a 5-star recruit, all those things, but just has no feel for the game. So, the model does have a film component and things like that get put into it. But as you can see here, these guys all get pressed together, right? And draft capital is the biggest driver in the model. So that's why you've got these guys here with Jadarian Price at 71. He's obviously got the highest expected draft capital after Love. Then you get Singleton, who's lower. So that's telling you what the model cares about is receiving, as well as what his speed score probably would have been. He didn't run, due to the broken foot. But my gut says Singleton would probably be the running back 2 off the board had he ran at the combine. Just looking at what happened to Mike Washington Jr., going from being like a round 6 pick to being a round 3, maybe early round 4 pick. So these guys are all compressed together. So when I tiered them a little differently than the model. I'm like, here are the guys that are every down backs, right? And maybe on a weak depth chart, they're starters, or the starter goes down. At least you have the chance to have them out there all the time. And then I had the next tier, which was really more around the trades.
Yeah, and I was comparing your positional supermodel ranks to just where they were for ADP. And there's not a ton of discrepancy. Obviously guys like Jeremiah Love, RB1 supermodel, RB1 in rookie. The two that you're a little higher on with the model, Singleton at RB4, he's RB6 for rookie running backs on underdog. And then Seth McGowan, RB7 in the supermodel, RB9. So again, we're talking very small things, but just two guys the model's slightly higher on than the market.
Yeah, and with Singleton, it really does, it comes down to his ability as a receiver, which we just know is so huge for fantasy. So what if he does figure out how to be a better runner in the NFL, or he just lands in the perfect scheme where things just click for him, right? And he's not having to think about it, and that works out for him. Just having the plus as a receiver, like he's one of the top 3 or 4 receiving backs in the class, right? We know he's big, we know he's fast, so there's still a chance the light comes on. But again, like whenever you look at a guy like Seth McGowan, it's kind of the same thesis as what we talked about with Jonah Coleman and Emmett Johnson. Like, this is a guy that, yes, he's older because he had off-field issues. So essentially, like, he lost 2 years of data because he wasn't at a college where we could actually collect the data. Then he comes back and starts playing again. He wasn't special, but he did show an ability. He's big enough, right? And he showed an ability to play across all downs. And he was solid as a receiver, not special or anything, but good enough to be out there. And so that's really what pushes McGowan up a little bit. Obviously, the model does not like the fact, that his breakout was later and he never had really a great breakout. But there are some circumstances that the model can't fully account for that, like, had I put his year 3 and year 4 in year 2 and year 3, like, he would move up even further. And it's one of those tricky things where we don't know. Like, I mean, he had off the field issues. We really don't know what he would have done in those years. So all we can do is go off of what we have. And he definitely gets dinged because in years 4 and 5 in the model, there's actually a negative correlation with future fantasy production. And that pushes McGowan actually down. So to see him still come in at 7, I'm with you. He is a guy that is intriguing to me, but there's also like a lot of buzz that he could just fall even further in the NFL draft, because I think there are quite a few teams that think there are enough off the field issues that they just don't have him on their board. And the more you reduce your chances to be taken, like the better chance you have to just keep sliding down the draft.
Yeah. At wide receiver, again, pretty in line with market, especially all the top guys: Tate, Lemon, Tyson, Cooper, Concepcion, Boston. The first name that stands out, and a guy I've been clicking a lot at the end of underdog drafts, and he's basically completely free, is Elijah Surratt. And you have him wide receiver 7 in the model. He's wide receiver 9 on underdog. So again, nothing insane. This is obviously just for rookies. But his production obviously really stands out.
Yeah, if you look at the production rating in the model, which adjusts for the opponents you played against, the teammate target competition that you had, it also adjusts for the quarterback play on the team, and then obviously their year or age, right? Their year on campus or their age. Surratt was a guy that started off at a small school. Then he goes to James Madison with Cignetti. Then he ends up transferring over to Indiana with Cignetti for his final 2 years, the final year with Fernando Mendoza. But yeah, I mean, if you look at his production rating of a 93, it's the 6th best all time in the rookie supermodel. So now I will say you can go back and there are other guys that have been like top 15 producers. Like, I don't know the best way to say it. It's probably that most NFL players that end up being good were really good producers in college, but not all good college producers turn into good NFL prospects, right? And so there's a way this thing goes wrong with Elijah Surratt, but how much he's fallen down draft boards as far as like where he's expected to go in the NFL draft is already really accounting for that. So he's still overcoming a lot of that because his production was so good. And I do think a lot of it comes down to folks are watching the film and they're worried that he can't, get open. There's going to be a lot of contested targets and all those things. The thing is, like, with contested targets, like, I don't think it's a reason to move players down your board. If you want to argue it's not a reason to move them up, like I did some research this offseason looking at contested targets. Is it actually a good or a bad thing? I went back and looked at all the top 100 picks back to 2018 in the model. And actually, there were a lot of great hits in there. Pete, you had, the biggest one being Nico Collins. You had Alec Pierce was a later breakout. Michael Wilson was a later breakout. All those guys had really high contested target rates, but it's kind of a wide range. A lot of the guys went on to be really good. A lot of the guys didn't go on to be good. But at the end of the day, we can say that about a lot of data points that are in these models. So the rookie supermodel is not dinging Surratt, right, for the high contested targets. The nice thing with him is he did catch a lot of them, Pete. He had like a 57% catch rate on his contested targets over his career. That's well above the average of 47% for prospects since 2018. So sometimes also I just feel like, you kind of got to lean into like these players are showing you the way they win. Like, and if they can win in those scenarios, then we just kind of have to trust that for now. I will say with Surratt, like his contested target stuff went up every year of his career. So basically small competition, less of it. A little bit better competition, they went up at James Madison. Then you get to Indiana, it goes up again. And then basically you're the focal point of the offense. I mean, Omar Cooper Jr. broke out in year 4 playing from the slot. But your opponents know now that Surratt, like he's on the scene. People know who he is. They're trying to take things away. And the contested target rate went up again in his final year. So I think that's something that like it's worth mentioning at least, and this because it's going to be another step up in the NFL. But he's really good at like contested catch stuff, back shoulder stuff, so he can play the perimeter. But again, the 93 production rating, like that's just 6th best in the history of the model. So like that's the way the model works. It's going to give him credit for that. So I will say this: Of all the players expected to go in the top 100 picks at wide receiver this year, the model does see Surratt as the most underrated versus where he's going to go NFL draft pick wise.
Yeah, and like I have up one of the fun things when you guys are at the supermodel, you can obviously look by year, which we normally do, but if you include everything here and then sort by production rating, you do see him here 7th overall. And it is what I like to do is compare the production rating with the draft position, because like some of these busts, Cade Johnson, Greg Dortch, I mean, they were undrafted, barely drafted. I mean, of the guys who got top 75 draft capital, it's like mostly hits or guys who gave you at least 1 to 2 seasons. I mean, the funniest one that stands out that would be the concern is like the Sky Moore, right?
But small school too. Western Michigan never truly got, it would be like if Surratt had stayed at James Madison the whole time and had this data. But the fact that he went on to do it at Indiana, like, gives me a little bit more confidence. A lot of those busts that you see there on the production rating, like if you look to the left, like they played at smaller schools, like South Dakota State there for Cade Johnson. So yeah, that's if you see that they're going to be a top 75, the top 100 pick, they played at a significant program. Like, I think those are two, and the model is accounting for those things. But I'm with you. I like kind of slicing and dicing and trying to compare across those different variables.
Yeah, and then the only one that maybe stood out as lower than market that, and the reason I think this is important, at least pre-draft, obviously we're going to get so much more information and these will get ordered even more efficiently after the draft. But right now you have all these guys who project for pretty solid round 2 draft capital, maybe early round 3 at worst. And they're all relatively free at the end of these underdog drafts. And it's kind of just like picking your flavor. But one guy you're lower on would be Ted Hurst. You have him at wide receiver 13. He goes wide receiver 10 in the supermodel. I guess piggybacking off of that and this kind of cohort, the Brazel, the Jeremy Bernard, the Antonio Williams, do you have any other guys that stand out from that batch, or are they all like the same guy to you?
Yeah, no, they're all pretty close. And the thing I'll say, like, while we have a lot of wide receivers expected to go in the first 3 rounds, the last time I checked, Pete, I think it's 16, right? We get up to 6 in round 1. And then by the time you get through round 3, I think we could have 16 guys off the board. I will say this, like, this is a deep class from a standpoint of how many wide receivers are going to go in the first 3 rounds. But of those 16, the rookie supermodel, one thing I like to do is look at where they rank in the history of the model, right? Their rookie supermodel rating, and then where they went in the draft and where does that rank? And there are only 3 players that the model sees as being undervalued by the NFL. The other 13, to varying degrees, the model sees as being overrated based on where they're going to go right now, based on their draft pick. And guys, really where it starts to matter is just when you see these deltas of like, there's a discrepancy of like 20 spots in the ranks with the rookie supermodel versus where they're supposed to go draft pick wise. So like Elijah Surratt is one of the values, projected to go right now. Yeah. Where is he? 79.
I sorted by draft capital here, so I have him at 79.
Yeah, 79. And if you look at him, where he goes, where he is, so that would be a rank of 105, right? If he goes at that pick, since 2018. If you look at where he ranks in the rookie supermodel at a 76, it's 71, right? So that's a surplus value of 34. Denzel Boston is the opposite. He's minus 24, right? The rookie supermodel rank on him is 63. His NFL draft capital rank would be 39. So he is one of the guys that the model sees as being the most overrated, is Denzel Boston. So, and it does take into account that he played with Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk, as well as Jalen McMillan, And the thing is with Denzel Boston, Pete, is like, people look at that and they throw that out there. The model is accounting for it. And if you look at other guys, like we've seen this from Ohio State receivers, LSU receivers forever, like the really good ones, they play with better players than those, and they still produced early in their career. So I'm not fully bought in on giving Denzel Boston a full pass, for those first 2 years where he wasn't really able to get onto the field. And so that's really what the model's saying there, that he is overrated. He should really be a round 2 or a round 3 NFL pick, not a round 1. And I do think we've seen consensus big boards respond, right? Not to the rookie supermodel per se, but I do feel like it's gotten sharper. If you remember when mock drafts first came out, Denzel Boston was like pick 20, pick 21. Now he's a borderline end of round 1, maybe early round 2. So I think that kind of the consensus market's coming around. We'll see what NFL teams do. The weird thing about the draft is it only takes one team, Pete. Like every other team could say this guy's a round 2 receiver. If one team has a round 1 grade on him and they take him there, he's going to get the draft capital. So we'll see what ultimately happens with that. But I'll say the guy that like I'm personally a little higher on than the model is Chris Bell. And
okay,
I'm not a film grinder by any means, but I do watch all of these players and I try to watch all of their targets, especially for like the top 15 to 20 guys. And like you start looking at players and you're like, okay, like I'm not saying like I'm an NFL film, like, I'm not a scout, but you watch him and you're like, I could see a way this really works out. Like he's really good on the end breaking routes. He's really good after the catch. He dominated against some tough competition, like in the game against Miami this year. And you're like, man, you could see shades of like AJ Brown, like early in his career at Tennessee, where he wasn't a fully developed player yet, but just play action and breaking routes, get the ball in his hands, let him run after the catch, let him do his thing. So like if he were to land somewhere that you knew used a lot of play action, used a lot of end breaking route concepts and things like that, like the 49ers would be a great example of it. Like Chris Bell is one where like didn't truly ever have a great breakout season production wise, but you could see like another level to his game. He's 220 plus pounds. He's 6 foot 2. He says he can run like a 4.3, 4.35. I don't know, but he was running away from Miami defenders. One of the better defenses in the league last year in college. So Chris Bell's one where I've got him a little bit higher, like in my personal ranks, and where I've got him here in the rookie supermodel, like versus a guy like Chris Brazzell the second. Like I really do feel like he's mostly a vertical threat at this point. Like, so what does that mean? You know how that goes. A lot of times that's just out there getting your steps in. You know what I mean? You're not getting all the targets. Brazzell could certainly turn into more, but Chris Bell is a good example of a guy that I do like slightly more than the model. And on Ted Hurst, like what's funny is the model was higher on Ted Hurst than the market to start. And now it's flipped, to where the market has moved Ted Hurst up. So he's been one of the bigger climbers in the pre-draft process. And so now it's a situation where he is at a 99 overall as far as his rank in the rookie supermodel since 2018 for receivers. And his draft capital rank is 103. So the model's still seeing him as like a slight value +2. Really, that's like equal. It's just like neutral. But the market's just moved up so much on him. That's really the difference between the model and the way drafters are handling Ted Hurst.
And it looks like probably one of the biggest dings on him is just that program quality rating there, one of the lowest for this incoming class.
Yep. And so the model's adjusting for all that. Has a good career target share. He does mostly work downfield. He tested well also. So like those two things match up, vertical prowess as well as having the speed. But playing at a smaller program, it's easier to dominate against these other guys. So that is really the big question. I do think he's a guy, though, that like if he lands on the right team, could find playing time pretty quickly as someone that helps stretch the field vertically. And then like if they start to trust him with more and he can learn more of the route tree, that sort of thing, he definitely has upside. It's just kind of reached a spot in the model where it's like, okay, the market's slightly past what the model thinks.
Yep. Yeah. And then I feel like tight end, we're coming off of a year where we got just mega spoiled.
Oh yeah, we got spoiled last year.
So spoiled.
Really have been spoiled for the last few years at tight end.
True. Yeah, like if you sort by all here, 2025, we had Loveland, Warren, but Sadiq, I mean, as far as like a top prize at the top, I mean, historically in the model comes in at 6. He's sandwiched between Warren and Noah Fant, which is, maybe like a thing of how, or illustrates how it could go in one direction or the other. Yes. But like he's up here with the big boys.
Yeah. So with Sadiq, right, I mean, there is a glaring concern, and it's the fact that he has a 74 production rating. Now Tyler Warren has a 72. Now he played in a more loaded tight end room at Penn State. Now Sadiq did have Terrence Ferguson in front of him. So he had a guy that went in round 2 the year before, but Ferguson was never a centerpiece either for the Oregon offense. The big concern is that Sadiq just never turned into the focal point for the offense. A lot of his targets and stuff came behind the line of scrimmage, which I don't necessarily look at as a negative, because it's kind of like, wow, like if a team is willing to target a tight end behind the line of scrimmage, that probably tells you they're like a freak athlete. And then he tested the way that he did. So they wanted to find ways to get him the ball. the challenge is like, why didn't he have a more versatile, repertoire, if you will, of ways they could get him the ball? Like, why wasn't he involved more down the field? Why wasn't he involved more in the intermediate area? So his 37% targets behind the line of scrimmage, like just to kind of give people like, a reference point, the average prospect since 2018 got 11% of their targets. So we're talking about a 26% difference, or a 26 percentage point difference between those two. And then if you look at him deep, 13% is like slightly above the average of 12%. But really where tight ends do most of their damage in the NFL is really in the short and intermediate range. And he was well below the averages in both of those. So that's the big question with him. Is he more than just an athlete? But like if a team unlocks him at the next level, like, could you imagine like if the Chiefs took him at 9 and kind of decide like this, we're just, because think about it. Andy Reid loves gadget players anyway. Your tight end's getting older, and Travis Kelce, and you need a replacement for him. It's like Sadiq is almost like this unique blend of like maybe everything a guy like Andy Reid would ever want. It'd be like getting Zachariah Branch, but, being 240 pounds, instead of being 170 pounds. So you could see it really working out. But Noah Fant is like a great example of and it's who he's right next to. Noah Fant really was more of an athlete. Now, Noah Fant had a little more of an excuse than Kenyon Sadiq. He played with a guy named TJ Hawkinson, in college, who was very dominant, as a tight end. You can see he's the third best. He has the third best rookie supermodel rating going back to 2018. So Sadiq, I do think he is a bit boom bust, but to your point where he's sitting, I mean, it could also go really well for him. It's just a little bit more boom bust than what you would typically think of, for a player in that range.
Are there any of these guys, as far as like underdog, like people obviously take Sadiq, people take dart throws on Stowers late. I've seen Clare go a few times. I know Jacob Sanderson likes him. Is there anyone else you can squint here and see being fantasy viable in year one? Obviously, landing spot impacts that, but just like looking at their profiles, anyone who could be intriguing?
Well, I think the most pro-ready guy is Claire.
Okay.
Like across the board, right? Good enough athlete, did it against good competition. Obviously, things came down in his final year, but the model knows that he played at Ohio State, transferring there. You're playing obviously with a loaded wide receiver room with Jeremiah Smith, as well as Carnell Tate and others. So like the model's accounting for that. So, he is a guy that can line up in line. He can get out there all the time. Whereas, with Eli Stowers, it's like we know he's the better receiver, maybe the best receiving tight end in the class, but like, can they play him at tight end? We don't know. Like, he might just have to be a big slot. And so then you could get the Juwan Johnson treatment, right? Where it's like, man, when will this guy ever get to 80% of the routes? He might not. He might be stuck at like 65% for his entire career. And no matter how good you are, that can be a problem unless someone decides to really just transform him into a full-time tight end. But I would say the next one would really be Oscar Delp. Now Delp didn't do what Bowers did at Georgia, but, he was a highly, highly rated tight end coming out as a prospect. This is a guy that's very athletic, obviously at his pro day, came out and ran really well. Speed score matters more for tight ends than any other position, even versus like running backs. And those are the two positions where it really matters. And the NFL cares, and it will show up in draft capital. I say strong, like all these things are relatively weak, but compared to one another, like speed score for tight ends is definitely the thing that matters the most when it comes to athletic testing or combining metrics for athletic testing for teams. So Delp, I think, is the guy that has the most upside because I think he can get out there and play on all of the downs. And then like his career quarterback targeted rating, which is one of the components that goes into the production rating for the supermodel, was really high, 130.4, behind only Kenyon Sadiq, who was at 137.9. So when he got his opportunities, he was really good. And then that matches up with his athletic testing. Like if you look at his yards after the catch, 1.2 over expected after adjusting for his average depth of target. That's right in line with Sadiq, who is at a 1.1. So good athlete in testing. Those things actually match up with what we saw production wise in the model. So Delp would be the one for me. Production rating, not where we would want it to be at a 67, but also played at a loaded program, and sometimes the model can't fully account for that. And if there was one other name, it would be Justin Jolly. Did not test well as far as any of his athletic stuff, but I could see him being like a I don't know. This isn't going to inspire anybody, but like a Dalton Schultz, lands on the right team where maybe they've got one good wide receiver and they're having to use the backs. Like he could be like the number 2 target. He actually has the highest production rating in the class at an 81. And so it's not elite. Everything's on a scale of 50 to 100, but it's still above average. So I would say that Justin Jolly is the other one.
Nice. It's funny because where I was going with our final thing before we draft here, our guy Ian literally just put up the post with this same thing. He did. This is like a classic Ian tweet. He played matchmaker for every single wide receiver in which pick that they could realistically go to these guys at here. But we can leave his up for reference point. But do you have any fits that would be particularly tantalizing to you? It doesn't have to be wide receivers either.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the guys that like stand out the most to me, like the 2 big fast running backs, right, and Nick Singleton as well as Mike Washington, like if they could land in like a wide zone scheme, right, where it's like, hey, you're pushing to the edge and you read that one cut back. Well, really, there's 2 cutback lanes on it, but where they can just let their speed work for them, and it washes the linebackers and second level players out of the play, and then that speed, even if you're not the most elusive guy, right, you're already on the 3rd level and you have the speed and then theoretically enough size that like you can run over a defensive back. So I do think those 2 guys landing somewhere with a wide zone scheme, so something off of the Shanahan kind of tree for those 2 players at running back, that would be interesting to me. And then one guy that we talked about already earlier was Chris Bell, like just really landing somewhere that lets him work the interior of the field, uses a lot of play action. I think that would be really good. I do think with Mekhi Lemon, like I think there's a chance he can play outside in the NFL, but I think there's also a question. Whereas with Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson, I feel pretty safe, Pete, like that they can just line up all over the formation. Yeah. Right. They can play the boundary. We definitely know Jordan Tyson can move all over the formation. He's got the best production rating in the class. But with Lemon, like there is a chance, like if you land on a team that likes to run a lot of 2 tight end stuff, like could that limit you to playing like 60-70% of the routes? So I think that's something to watch for as far as playing time with him. And then Omar Cooper Jr. is honestly almost kind of in the same bucket as what we talked about with Chris Bell. Really like blossom playing from the slot. Now, he always had a yards per route run of over 2, even early in his career playing on the boundary, but he never got to play a full-time role. And then last year, it was like, we're just going to put you in the slot, let you use your yak. So he's another guy that, like, if you saw him go to a team where he's going to play Z, but then get to kick inside and 3 wide receiver sets, and they were just going to let him use that yak ability, like, those would be 2 really interesting things to me. Like, if I knew he just had to play on the boundary, I wouldn't be ruling him out. But I think the best fit would be somewhere where, like, those guys, you want to just unlock them as playmakers, right? And they both have the size and the speed to work underneath like that and to challenge linebackers and fight through traffic, all those sort of things. So I could go on and on with a bunch of these, but like Cooper and Bell would be 2 that really, stand out to me. I would say the final one. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one interesting thing about spotlighting Cooper and Bell. When I was last week in the newsletter, I wrote about, the inevitability of the AJ Brown trade, and a lot of the insiders for the Eagles had talked about the wide receivers that the team's shown the most interest in. And it is Omar Cooper Jr. in round 1 or Chris Bell in round 2. Like, those are the guys that it seems like they've been zeroing in on.
And yes, and that makes sense because we're not saying those guys are going to be AJ Brown. AJ Brown was one of the most underrated prospects since 2018 based on the rookie supermodel. It liked it way more. The supermodel liked AJ Brown way more than where he went in the NFL draft. The supermodel saw AJ Brown as a round 1 pick. He's better than either one of these guys as a prospect. Now they both have a chance to get higher draft capital than what he had when he came out. But those would make sense. Those are guys that do similar things to AJ Brown. I have a little bit more concern about like their vertical ability to get downfield, but all the other things that AJ Brown does, they can do. The other really interesting one is Casey Concepcion, because you just wonder how teams see him, because like over his first 2 seasons, really used more as a gadget player, right? Had all the targets, but it's all around the line of scrimmage, all that kind of stuff. And basically he sees the writing on the wall, and he was very smart too. And he's like, look, this is an unimaginative offense. I can do more than this. I can play a full route tree. So he transfers to Texas A&M and they let him play that role, right? And his average depth of target shoots way up. He starts playing on the outside, not just on the inside. So it's going to be really interesting to see how teams view KC Concepcion. But if they view him as the version we saw at Texas A&M, they can really that can win at all levels of the field, can line up inside or outside. Like, that's going to be massive. If he lands in a role like that, I think he's the number 4 player in the class.
Okay.
Like Omar Cooper Jr. has passed him due to expected draft capital, but the model sees Omar Cooper Jr. as a round 2 pick. It sees KC Concepcion as having a value where he should be a round 1 pick.
Yep. Well, we're gonna know a lot more here in just a few days. And just so people understand how the supermodel works, the only thing that is going to get adjusted after the draft is the draft position input. Yep. Everything else is staying static. It's already done.
That's right.
So we'll see some slight movement, especially if I guess it could be big movement if there's a big deviation. If someone's draft capital is middle of round 3 and they go back into round 1, like, you're going to see a pretty big rise, right?
Yes. Yeah. And what I'll say is, like, the early picks matter more. So really draft capital, or if you want to just say draft pick, right? It's not to get too nerdy, but it's a logarithmic curve, right? So it's like this, if people can see on the screen, and it's like a straight down, and then it flattens out. And really where it starts to flatten is more in round 2. So the difference between going like pick 4 overall and going pick 15 is a lot bigger than saying a 15 delta in round 2. And then you get to round 3 and a delta of 15 picks doesn't really matter a ton. Right. And certainly in rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, it matters less and less. All the other components of the model really carry more weight. But for those first 3 rounds is where you'll see most of it, but especially round 1 and early round 2.
Yeah. And we always talk about that with fantasy ADP, and always like talking about it through the an auction dollar format, where it's like a lot of these guys at the end are $1, but an $80 player in round 1, a guy going 2 picks after him, could be $50. Like, that difference can be massive.
Yes.
I say we draft, Dwayne. I know you haven't done
Let's do it.
Draft. I haven't done a ton of drafts either. I think it'd be fun to kind of
couple of noobs.
Yeah. And the little board still open, 100K up top, Dwayne. I'm not gonna turn my nose up at 50K split with you here.
Yeah, look, let's just take it down. Like, a couple of noobs, like, just in here, just going on vibes.
That's right. Are you as a Cowboys fan, do you have any wish lists for the team coming out of this draft here? You got 2 picks round 1.
I know they're in love with Sonny Styles. So, like, if Sonny Styles slides at all, I have a feeling like they really are going to try to package their picks, which they've got 12th and 20th, right? And they're going to try to move up. I think it's very clearly going to be defense with both of those picks. I think it's just a question if they can find a way to make the trade up that they want. And I can kind of go either way on it. I do worry, Pete, that, like, they see Sonny Styles and they're like, oh, this could be Micah Parsons, because they're both off-ball linebackers, but very athletic. Parsons ends up turning into this massive edge player at the NFL level. But man, like, finding a player like Parsons that can make that leap is so hard. As much as I love Sonny Styles, I would think, like, if you're like betting the odds of him being able to turn into something like Micah Parsons, like, it's not high. And at that point, like, you traded away Micah Parsons to get these picks. And now if you're going to trade both of them away to get a guy you hope might be Micah Parsons, I don't know, just feels kind of weird. And that's not a knock on Sonny Styles. Like, he's an absolute freak, and he might turn into that. My gut says Dallas would be better off. They have so many holes, just getting a cornerback, maybe 2 cornerbacks, getting a cornerback and a linebacker, cornerback and a defensive lineman. Just take 2 things, get 2 players to help the defense.
Yeah. And Friedman right now at 12 has
McCoy. I like that one.
McCoy. And then what's this next pick? An edge. Yeah.
Out of Miami. Yeah. Yeah. See, I would be happy with those 2 picks. And it's like you said, the board gets really flat, honestly, from like the middle of the first round into the second round, there's a really big flat across a lot of these positions. There's definitely some depth at edge, which helps Dallas. It helps really any team looking for edge, and it's a pretty good safety class as well. Like, so that's another direction you could potentially see Dallas go at pick 20, like a guy like Thieneman. We'll see how it all works out, but I kind of hope they just stick with the 2 picks and get 2 players.
Before we dive into our draft here, we're picking at 1-5. I did just notice Matthew Friedman, no KC Concepcion in his most recent mock draft has Denzel Boston sneaking in. I feel like that would heavily go against consensus right now, but let's table that. JSN, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, CeeDee Lamb. Do you have a favorite up here at the top?
I like getting the receiver. I really like the running backs that come back in round 2.
Yeah. JSN it is?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. But yeah, does that surprise you? No Concepcion inclusion here?
No, because Friedman has to do basically he does like one of these an hour. So I mean, he's covering all the different scenarios. Like in his last one, he had Denzel Boston sliding out. Which, like, if I were to do one mock draft, I would have Denzel Boston going in round 2. But like when you're having to do as many of these, Casey Concepcion is another guy that's kind of right there, on the borderline.
Yeah.
I think Casey Concepcion is going to go in round 1. I thought his knee scope might move him down a little bit, but honestly, he didn't really respond that much, to that news. He dropped like a couple of spots for like a week, and then he kind of started climbing back up again. So,
yeah. All right, we start JSN here. We are drafting in the little board. Yeah, Dwayne, before you came on, we had this, I think I told you, there was this guy who went rogue. He was drafting Emmett Johnson in round 2, Lamar Jackson in round 1, Khalil Shakur in round 3, and he was in every little board draft, but he is not in this draft. So we're going to get to, draft a real one with real people right now, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I wonder what the thought process on that was, other than just trying, to like freak Pete out. Was there anything?
Yeah, exactly. And he succeeded. He succeeded. What's your take? It's funny. I feel like, again, I haven't done a huge volume, but haven't gotten a ton of Cook. Like you start to get a lot of question marks with some of these running backs. This is as early as you'll see Achane going here at 11. After Taylor and CMC, who I think we all know who those guys are. How do you feel about these kind of like round 2 running backs? Because they can be a little scary.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, once you get to the turn, you start to run into the question marks. I really do like Barkley. He just went off the board. Just like I said, I haven't done a lot of these, but I'm constantly pulling, underdog ADP and comparing it with our projections and with our ranks and things like that, because we want to keep all of our ranking sets updated for folks that want to use it for underdog. But I will say that as I started to kind of just dig into it, I definitely feel like I would like to have a running back within the first 3 rounds. I think it's pretty tough, like to just kind of try to stare it down and just say, nah, I'm just going to go with all these wide receivers because like the running backs have pushed up so far overall.
So do you like Chase Brown in this spot? He's the one green name, or would you rather go Neighbors, McBride, Bowers, Rashi?
Man. Quick. Yeah, I think Neighbors still. I was kind of hoping that where did Kenneth Walker go?
Sorry, I end up.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Chase Brown's fine. Chase Brown's fine.
And Walker went at 17. And
I think that's a really good pick at 17. I think
I wrote about that in the newsletter, and I've been saying on stream, like every big projection source that is doing projections, in a smart way is going to have him higher than that ADP. Like I think he's going to be a 1-2 turn pick for most of the summer. I just don't think the ADP has caught up to that reality yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Kenneth Walker, what's interesting, like I still hear a lot of people say, he's not a passing down guy. But like if you look at his yards per route run over the last 3 years, like they're not in like the CMC Kamara territory, the old Kamara or Austin Eckler. But it's one tier below that, which is essentially good enough to be a top 6 running back. Now, he's not a down the field kind of guy, but he's shown that he's a lot better than what people thought he was in college, which is kind of interesting to me. Like I hear a lot of really sharp people saying that about Kenneth Walker. That like, he's not a passing down guy. Like he took over the passing down role 2 years ago, Pete, and averaged almost 17 fantasy points per game in PPR. Here we're talking half, so it was probably like 15 and a half or something. Real
quick, Dwayne, AJ Brown, Josh Allen, ETN, Breece Hall, Tedoroya, AJ Brown. Run to the podium,
AJ Brown to the Patriots, yes.
Okay.
Dude, can you imagine him with Drake May in that offense? I mean, what Romeo Dobbs? Are you serious? Like AJ Brown, like I get it. He's deteriorated a little bit, but it's one of those interesting things. Like you look at all the underlying data and you're like, yeah, it's gone down a little bit, but it's still like better than like, it's no worse than like 8th. It's still better than most other wide receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what, this is actually one of the first, because I was writing about this with, hey, everybody knows this trade is going to happen. So let's actually start drafting as if it is. And this is one of the first drafts I've done where I've finally seen someone pull Devontae Smith up a little higher here. You know, his ADP, I think, is 37, 38. So you could routinely get him in round 4. But like with AJ Brown gone, let's assume that happens. I mean, where do you think Devontae Smith grades out for you as like a rank?
He'll get to mid-range wide receiver 2. And I honestly think AJ Brown should go in front of Drake London if he's playing for the Patriots and Drake May. Like, I mean, the Patriots had a good run last year. Like, they played a lot of easy games, all that kind of stuff. But like, Drake May actually has shown that he is the kind of quarterback that can elevate players around him. Like, and that's just really rare. Now, it's a small sample. It could turn the other way on Drake May, but based on the information we have so far, he is one of the few quarterbacks in the league that can actually elevate the guys around him. There's really not very many of those. Like Jalen Hurts is not one of those. Jalen Hurts is load him up and he can be good, which he wasn't last year. But part of that, you know, is due to their scheme and things like that. So yeah, I think AJ Brown back with Mike Vrabel playing with Drake May, he should easily be a second round pick in fantasy, probably mid second round, if not early second round.
All right, on the clock.
Devontae, I'm good, man. I know.
I know you're a Cowboys guy, but I need someone to talk me into feeling good about clicking Javonte here. I know why he's here, but I need to feel better about it.
Look, I mean, it's just what everyone else is doing with the running backs. Like, you have to take your medicine at some point. If you don't want to get left out, like, and we kind of did it twice, like with Chase Brown and Javonte Williams. But look, he's going to play on a top 6 offense in the league. He's going to get the carries inside the 5-yard line. Is he what he was as a rookie? Like, as far as like how explosive he was? No. But last year, before he got the stinger and the shoulder injuries late in the year, I mean, he was one of the best running backs in fantasy. So nothing's really changed. Doesn't have a lot of competition. We'll see what happens, you know, in the draft. Like, they could add somebody that makes us feel a little bit less confident around Javonte, but I don't know, man. It's kind of hard for me to be like, all right, a player they're going to run it back and he's in one of the best offenses in the league. It's pretty straightforward to me.
All right, help me sort these wide receivers. Waddle, DJ Moore, Adams, Rome. Waddle?
Yeah, I have Waddle above consensus in the projections. Now, I'm giving him an 85% route participation rate in the projection model. You know, he's typically been more around 79 to 80 over his career. But I kind of have a hypothesis on that. One is, if you think about the Miami offense, they did that a lot with Tyreek Hill as well. And they ran so much motion, and it's not just normal motion, right? It's receivers like sprinting across the line. And so I think like even you're like running a route plus your route. And so I think that's part of why in those offenses, they rotate the guys so much. Now, the flip side of that is like, well, Dwayne, Sean Payton also like rotates wide receivers heavily. But I feel like if you give up a round 1 pick, you know, for someone, Pete, like, we should just lean into that. And the target competition is not that great. Like, Cortland Sutton's a good possession guy, good red zone guy. But I think there's a real good chance that Jalen Waddle is going to be the engine of the offense. They can move him around the formation, you know, get him stuff on the run. Good scheming there. I know Sean Payton's not going to technically be calling the plays this year. It'll be Davis Webb. But I think Jalen Waddle could be like last year's Chris Olave, the guy that every year we're like, oh man, the underlying data is always there. It's always said, you know, he's a borderline wide receiver 1, but it's just for whatever one reason or another, it never worked out. Besides, you know, Waddle's rookie year, whenever I think he was like wide receiver 12. But I just think he's a good young player. He just needs to stay healthy. That's the other ding, man. You know, you get a lot of games where he plays like, you know, 75% of the game and then he's done.
And you're a guy who's you know, has a propensity for getting injured until you're not. Like, we've seen that story many times. So we got Chase Brown and Javonte at running back. We got JSN, AJ Brown, and Waddle at wide receiver. You know, some of the dynamics in these rooms that I've been writing about at Fantasy Life, obviously running backs fly off the shelves. Quarterbacks certainly go at a premium, specifically like rounds 7 through 11 or 12. So those are kind of dynamics to think about, but we're set up here well, about to pick at 6'8". Tootin is the ADP faller, big ADP faller. Jaden Daniels, Burrow, Marv, RJ Harvey, Drake May. What do you like?
I'm kind of hoping Drake May comes back to us to pair with AJ Brown, which is what we're speculating here. I'm fine taking the ADP value on Tootin because that's my big concern with Tootin. I like him, but I'm worried I'm not going to get to draft him enough because everyone else is taking him higher than I'm willing to. And so I would say, just doing it here.
I mean, I've been in plenty of drafts where Tootin's gone, late 4th, obviously early 5th. I don't know what happened in this room, but him falling to 68, in pairing him with kind of the veteran, the Javonte Williams thing there, seems like a good pairing.
Yeah. And there goes Jaden. I was going to say Jaden Daniels is like it would have been like, I think he's a value at this point. We know, everybody knows, like the dual threat archetype guys. Like Jaden Daniels should be going ahead of Caleb Williams, period. So should Joe Burrow. Like I love Caleb Williams, but I mean, we're projecting, a pretty big jump, for Caleb. Now I do love his weapons and everything. I just don't see a reason to force Caleb over Jaden Daniels as well as Joe Burrow. Certainly willing to mix him in. Like I do like Caleb Williams. I want to be clear about that, but
yeah,
I'm just kind of like, man, like, I don't know. Like if I had to bet that, like you had to run it out 100 times, like how many times is Caleb Williams outscoring Jaden Daniels when he's healthy or Joe Burrow?
Right. Well, let's see here. If this J-Lo, I guess he has Henderson, but he just took Burrow unstacked. So this guy's rogue. All right. We get Drake May to come back to us to stack up with AJB, hopefully.
Yeah. And the way these quarterbacks this year, that's the other thing I've noticed just looking at the ADP is like, it's like all getting crushed together, which kind of makes me think like, man, Josh Allen in round 3 feels better than ever. If all these other guys are going to get moved up so much at the end of the drafts.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a nice start here. Very balanced. JSN, AJ Brown, and Waddle there as our wide receivers. Chase Brown, Javonte, and Tootin as our running backs. Drake May as our QB1. Getting those 3 alpha wide receivers on their teams. And then
I like this team, man. Like I feel very comfortable. Like I feel like we can basically do anything.
Yes, for sure. And again, this puts you in really good flexibility where you're not as panicked about a positional run at running back when you already have 3, at quarterback when you have 1 in the 7th there. So this is a comfy spot for sure.
All right. What are you thinking here?
Let's see. So this is kind of a choose your own adventure range. I don't think there's any tight ends we're really interested in. You're down all the way to Laporta at 105. Quarterback wise,
and what pick
we can keep an eye open for Knicks, but probably not here. So we're probably looking at running backs or wide receivers in this range.
Okay.
You can also, I do think it's justified to just kind of go get your quarterback if you have the guy you like, but with Lawrence and Herbert coverage, I guess we could do Lawrence with Tootin if we kind of wanted to build out a Jags kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I like getting Lawrence on board here. Showed the upside last year down the stretch, right? And the passing. And then he's always had the ability to score the rushing touchdown. So I don't mind go ahead and doing it if you think we need to.
The way I've been operating these rooms is like, if I don't have another player I want to run to the podium for, just default to the quarterback because I almost always
so you don't get screwed.
So you don't get screwed. And it's like, there's strong depth at wide receiver through the 120s, 130s. So yeah, let's lock up Lawrence. There's also like good options to backstack him with. Brenton Strange is really cheap. Travis Hunter is essentially free at this point. So you can play at a lot of different angles.
Yeah, Parker Washington was a good value early in these. When I had done my first set of ranks, I was like, I'm probably gonna have a lot of Parker Washington this year. But that's what happens when you don't go ahead and draft a lot of teams when you first do your ranks, is then now you see where Parker Washington goes and you're like, he's probably about priced right now. But yeah.
So we now got the 2 quarterbacks. We're about to pick again. I mean, you could do Knicks and just rip it in. That's a lot of draft capital to spend at quarterback. I don't think it's awful. Or if there is another position.
I don't mind Jaden Reed, honestly. Yeah. What pick are we at? Yeah.
We are at pick
I don't mind getting another receiver. I mean, here's the bottom line. Jaden Reed's a good player. You've moved on from Wicks as well as Dobbs. If there was ever a year that they're just going to say, F it, Pete, we're playing Jaden Reed wide and we're going to give him 90% of the routes, this is the year. And if that happened, you're getting value on this pick. Period.
Definitely.
Like there's no way to not get the value on the pick. So, and here's the cool thing. Let's say they decide, he's still a slot guy and they draft someone else or whatever. You're still not killing yourself on this pick with where you're getting him. You're still going to get some spike weeks. You're still going to get value out of him in a best ball format.
For sure. And I think positionally too, that was for sure the right move. We already spent 2 kind of high picks on quarterback. We also have outs of now a backdoor stack with Jordan Love. We have Sam Darnold still on the board if we want to stack up JSN. Like, we have some good options for our QB3, and getting that 4th wide receiver there, I think, was the right choice.
Yeah, I really do like the team.
Yeah, here it is. May and Lawrence at quarterback, and we get Lawrence 10 picks after ADP, which always makes the teams feel stronger there. Chase Brown, Williams, Tootin 10 picks after ADP. So maybe we just had a bunch of Jags haters in in this room. JSN, AJ Brown, Waddle, Jaden Reed. We get Reed as our 4th wide receiver, and now we are heading into our pick here in the middle of the 10th.
There went Concepcion. Did Omar Cooper Jr. go?
No, he's a lot later. Omar Cooper Jr.'s ADP is 128. Yep.
How? He's most likely a 1st-round pick. Why is everybody so? And look, the rookie supermodel thinks he's overrated, but still.
I know. I think there's a stickiness to the ADP. I also think there's this lingering Jets worry that he ends up there, and no one likes that. We are back on the clock here. What would you like to do?
Is there a running back that you like here?
I sometimes take Gainwell, but that's about it. Who do you want? Omar Cooper?
Yeah. We could have probably waited. I didn't have another good name though to say. It's like he's a near lock to be a 1st-round pick right now. So
yep. I wrote about it multiple times in fantasy life where I'm just like, in this new era of underdog, which I basically call the like post Garrett Wilson being free despite being like a top 15 pick. Since then, every running back who's drafted in round 1 of the NFL draft is a top 80 or better pick when Best Ball Mania opens. So you're getting at the very least massive CLV on a guy like Omar Cooper.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's good thinking. All right. What do we got? Any tight ends that you're starting to like, or are we still waiting here?
Gadsden is the top here. We got your guy Ferguson. This is like a nice range here. The other option would be if you just wanted to like do Darnold and be done at quarterback with your QB3. But I'm
good with that. Because honestly, a lot of the tight ends all start to clump together for me. I know we're going to need multiple.
Yeah. And we can sit Strange we have in our back pocket. Taking Darnold opens up Barner. We got some of the rookies. I think guys like Kelsey, Goddard, Andrews are probably slightly undervalued.
I agree. Sadiq that late. That's a value.
Yeah, and so now we remain in this spot where we're done at quarterback. We don't have to worry about getting shut out there. We've accomplished correlation stuff. We still have the 3 running backs early. Our wide receiver base is good. We know we're going to probably spray and pray at late round tight end. It's mainly at this point finding a couple other running backs we like, because this is where it really starts to thin out.
Okay. Pull up the RBs.
Yes. The RBs are Jonah Coleman, Mike Washington Jr., Corey Krosky-Merritt, Jonathan Brooks, Charbonnet, Tyrone Tracy. Like it falls off quick.
Yeah. So I really like Jonathan Brooks. What pick are we at number wise?
So our next couple picks are at 140 and 149. So ADP wise, Coleman.
So basically, okay. Do you have a guy you prefer out of this group?
So I've been, I wrote about some of my wide receiver blind spots for Fantasy Life last week. A lot of these veteran free agents who don't have teams. One of my running back blind spots has been Jonathan Brooks. I think it was just touching the hot stove of him as a rookie and loving him so much.
Yeah.
And like, well, this sucks. But I'm really starting to think I should be way more into him right now.
Yeah, I don't know, when I start looking across at all the running back rooms, and I'm just like, I just don't think that Chuba Hubbard is really special. And we just saw him get booted out of a starting role last year by Rico Dowdle. Now, we are depending on modern medicine. 2 ACL tears for Jonathan Brooks. So, yeah, I like all the names that you had up in the running back queue, but I feel like Jonathan Brooks is the one I prefer. You could talk me into Krosky-Merritt. Like, he gets bombed though, man, if the Commanders take Jeremiah Love.
That's and I think we feel pretty confident that like Carolina's not going to spend significant capital at the running back position. So I've been trying to operate on like, let's not get too heavy on these teams who are likely to add, a round 1 or round 2 running back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a good call. So, yeah, Sadiq went right after us. That would have been the other potential pick there. Oh, man, they're taking all the tight ends. Because I was going to say Mark Andrews. He's the guy in the projections right now. Now, they could end up taking Sadiq, which would bomb him. But right now in the projections, Mark Andrews coming out at tight end 10.
So we still have Strange stacked with Lawrence. We have Hunter Henry stacked with Lawrence and Barner stacked. So we have some clean tight end picks. Do you want to keep pushing tight end or like grab another running back or wide receiver?
How many receivers? We have 5?
We have 5.
5, right?
Yep.
And we've got 4 backs. Pull the tight ends back up.
Tight end, Strange is top by ADP, and
I would say grab Strange since we do have the Lawrence thing, and we don't get completely cut off. At tight end, because we need so we're gonna have 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends on this team.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And, this is obviously the 20-round drafts. That's going to shrink.
It helps.
Yeah. Also, I will say this, Chris, as someone who's drafted some true 0 RB teams, this room is not scary RB thin. I think you can have your thoughts on the players, and that's fine. But just from the capital you spent on these guys, a round 2 running back, a round 4, and a round 6, that is not a thin running back room by capital spent. Because I can show you some thin rooms that I've done.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can see where he's coming from with Tootin and Brooks. Like, could both be complete whiffs. But I feel pretty good about the first 2 that we took in the roles that they're in. So really, we're just saying, hey, if Tootin or Brooks hit, along with the other 2 guys, and like staying healthy, we're in a good spot. Obviously have to avoid like draft day craziness, but it's such a weak running back class. As long as you avoid Jeremiah Love, it's like you're good.
Yep. Yeah, we had
Hunter.
Hunter goes, 156. I mean, he is falling a little bit from where he was based on whatever bullshit Rappaport report is surfacing, but 156, he probably was never going to fall much further than that. But that's all right. I think Strange as our tight end 1 stacked up was more of a priority there than a wide receiver 6.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Ayuk?
He was one of those guys that I wrote about as being like a blind spot for me. And I was a little more open to taking on guys like Diggs and Tyreek for different reasons, where the Ayuk stuff, it still feels like you have to hit kind of like a multi-leg parlay as far as him returning to form and finding a landing spot where it works. It's just like, I don't know. I start to get really spooked about someone who's been out of football for that long and who's kind of like persona non grata with his current team.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Emmanuel Wilson?
You know what? I'm a little spooked too about the Seahawks. There just continues to be smoke about them taking a running back in this class.
At the end of round 1. Yeah.
I mean, Henry for a made double stack certainly makes sense.
I think you're right on Emmanuel Wilson, right? Like the time you would make that pick, because he's not even going to move up a ton. If that happens. Like, so yeah, I'm with you. Hunter Henry to go with Drake May.
I think that's a good framework for these pre-draft things, is like, how much will Emmanuel Wilson move up if they don't touch anyone until, round 5 or whatever? And it's like, yeah, he'll move up. But I always think of the analog of the Cowboys in the Rico Dowdle year, where we all expected them.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dowdle moved up from like round 15 to round 13. It wasn't anything drastic because no one was excited about the name. So I'd rather just pay the 2-round tax after the draft than risk the 0.
I think that's right. I think that's right. Now, if he were to keep falling, like, then you're fine. All right.
Do you have thoughts on some of these veteran free agents without teams? I mean, you just asked me about Ayuk, but Jennings, Diggs.
Well, Ayuk would be the one I would be the most excited about. Like, I feel like we've done pretty good at receiver, and like if there were to be a guy that's good enough to force his way into the lineup, like it's probably Ayuk. Like I think he's still so young, so it's just a matter of if you think we need to go ahead and get another running back.
I don't feel like, to me, this tier of running backs is now like all very similar. And we have huge ADP values on Jennings and Ayuk. So I think we pull the trigger on one that you like.
Yeah. I know Ayuk's the longer shot. I just think he's the far better player.
Yeah. Younger.
I guess I need to move Ayuk down my ranks. Maybe I've had a little bit of a blind spot. And, this is one of the things when you're not forcing yourself to draft all the time and you're doing rankings, even though I look at underdog ADP and stuff like probably twice a week.
Yeah.
When you're putting yourself on the clock, like it's a different experience. So I think I've got Ayuk like at 115 or 120, something like that. Obviously he's not projected on a team right now, but.
Yep. Let's here's the
But Ayuk is one of these guys, Pete, that could be like he could be a pretty big climber, right?
For sure.
Like depending on like where he gets traded to, I could see him moving up, multiple rounds.
Easily. Yeah, he's like, again, you still have to kind of hit the parlay, but just on the buzz. Like everybody always wants him to go to the Commanders, be paired with his buddy Jane Daniels. I mean, if
so
that
weird
happens,
that they played together.
I know.
I was like, how's that even possible? But it was.
I mean, if that happens, I mean, he's pretty quickly moving up 5 rounds from here. Like not.
Yeah, I would say he would be pushing around 11 or 10, right?
Yeah.
Talent profile at his age, and really 2 years essentially, right? Wouldn't it be 2 years removed from the injury?
Yeah.
I mean, he should be healthy.
Yep.
There's some weird vibes with him in the 49ers. I don't understand. I don't know what's been said to one another, but there's obviously like some.
Yep.
Someone's got hurt or both.
Yeah. We're about to pick at 16-8. We are very balanced positionally here. We're done at quarterback, so we can look at running back, wide receiver, tight end. Running back is probably, if you have any names back here, best available: Pacheco, Tucker, Kamara, Braylon Allen, Vidal, Katron Allen, Ray Davis. Wide receivers: Hill, Mooney, Malik Washington, Tank Dell. Tight ends: Mason Taylor, Helm, Njoku, Ferguson. What do you like?
I don't really like any of it. I like Tank Dell. I mean, Tank Dell to me has by far the most upside of everyone we just named.
Beautiful. I got him in at the last second. Yeah, I know he's one of those guys where too, it's like Tank Dell is like had been one of my favorite players in the NFL. And then you just feel so burnt by the injuries. And now I'm like, is it just hopium, wanting him to return to that form, or is that actually possible?
Well, I think it's fair to have a question about what form he's going to be at, but he's still a young player was missed all of last season. So like, when players have had that long to recover, like we don't know for sure if they're going to be there, but if he has recovered, like he's definitely had the time, to do it. And he's still in the age where you can recover. Now he was an older player coming out of college, but man, he and CJ Stroud definitely have a connection. Like there is no doubting that, like at all.
For sure.
Like I would not be surprised at all if Tank Dell is the wide receiver 2 from a fantasy points per game perspective on that team behind Nico Collins. Like I like Jaden Higgins, but it's not like he showed us a ton as a rookie.
No.
And he wasn't a great profile coming out. He was an okay profile coming out.
And he feels like stylistically so similar to what Nico does that to like really unlock him, you probably need Nico out of the way, where like Tank Dell's role in that offense is so clear. Yeah. All right, we're about to pick again.
We probably need a back, don't we?
Yeah, I'll look at running backs and tight ends. We know we're going to get a third. Do you have any of these running backs that speak to you? There's some of the rookies. I guess one, Katron Allen. There's Kamara, Braylon, Vidal, Davis, Najee, Ollie Gordon.
Hayden Winks is pretty big on Katron Allen. I listened to him when he joined. The model's not super high on him, but he is a bigger guy. I think he profiles similar to Jadarian Price. Not great as a passing down guy, but could be an early down guy. Like it would be awesome, like if he landed with the Seahawks in like round 4, and then just immediately took over, like as their starting running back for the first half of the year. So I don't mind him as a click. Jonah Coleman is one of my favorites, but obviously already gone. Did we take him? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would start to go back and forth with Vise in the chat. He says he's referring to me and some other drafts. Being comfortable with Bucky and not with the Seattle backfield doesn't make sense to me. The whole thing is what the market is already baked in. And the Seahawks running backs, that draft capital for all those guys can completely get flipped on its head. If they take Jadarian Price at, the end of round 1, or they spend capital on one of these backs, like those prices are going to change. With Bucky, the Gainwell Bucky price has already been priced in. Bucky was a round 2 back, and then they add Gainwell, and now he's a round 4, often slipping to round 5. The market has already priced in the Gainwell stuff. So I am trying to be very careful of not stepping on CLV landmines unnecessarily, especially when the opportunity of passing on it isn't going to be that big after the fact. So it's just all about using the information we have to make the best possible decisions.
Agree.
You'll be able to get as much Emmanuel Wilson as you want after the NFL draft, regardless of what happens.
How do you feel about Terrence Ferguson? I think it's probably going to be a committee for the Rams, but if they were to flip to a guy, like, he is definitely the one with the most upside in that offense. No, we know it's a great offense, probably top 3 in the NFL as long as Stafford's upright.
Yeah. You want to lock him up as our
I think we need some sort of like ceiling scenario in our tight end room, because I don't think we have one right now. I think we have
looking at the options. I mean, is there any ceiling you see on this screen right now at the tight end position? It's hard.
No, it is very hard. I think Ferguson was one of the last ones because Helm went like 2 rounds ago. Like, you could argue for Gunnar Helm, but Ferguson, if it breaks right for him, like, just in a much better offense, obviously 2 really good guys he has to compete with targets for with Puka and Adams. But, you know, as much as McVay's leaning into this tight end stuff, like, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Ferguson, you know, and it might only be a 60% route participation rate, not an 80, but in the Rams, like, a 60% is like worth an 80 probably on Carolina. So just 2 very different expectations as far as how many points per game those offenses are going to score.
Here's the squad so far. We got 2 more picks here. We're good at quarterback. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold. Our running backs, Chase Brown, Javonte Williams, Tootin up top. We add Jonathan Brooks and Katron Allen. Our wide receivers, JSN, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, Jaden Reed, Omar Cooper Jr., Brandon Ayuk, Tank Dell. Tight ends, Brenton Strange, Hunter Henry, Ferguson. We are back on the clock.
We have to have at least 1 more running back, if not 2. We could go running back and receiver. But
do you like the Torrey Horton or Cooper Kupp along with Darnold?
I'm fine with Kupp.
All right, let's do it. No love for Horton.
I like Horton. Okay. I just don't, you know, if they're keeping Kupp, I think he's playing ahead of him. You know, I think the Seahawks should just play Rashid Shaheed as their wide receiver 2 and just get it over with.
Yeah.
You know, and then let Kupp just play the slot.
Yep. Thoughts on, you know, it's funny because I see him at the top here as well for wide receivers of thinking through Patriots wide receivers in this post-trade landscape. Another report that just hit the timeline is that the Patriots are in trade talks with Kayshon Boutte. What do you think? Like, if they, because I've been working under the assumption, even with the AJB trade, that Boutte would be that outside wide receiver for them still. Does that make you more intrigued on like a Kyle Williams or no?
I don't know, man. Like, it could easily be Mac Hollins.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, Vrabel likes the guys that can block as well. So he leans to a lot of those big bodied guys. But yeah, Kayshon Boutte was like one of the like weird anomaly plays, like just hits the big plays, never been a big target earner. So I think it's not even going to really hurt the Patriots if they move on from him.
All right. Final selection. I do have running backs up here. Jaden Blue, DeMarcado, DJ Giddens, LaKent Allen, Chris Brooks, McGowan, Jalen Wright. You want to do your guy McGowan? Little dart?
I just get worried about him falling down the board. Who else is down there?
Adam Randall, Kalen Black. We're going to get Seth McGowan if you don't speak up.
Yeah, just like pick the guy you want, Pete. I don't have a strong take on this. If there's someone that you like, just take them.
I don't. I mean, I sometimes, if I have Lawrence and I don't have Tootin, I don't mind like the little LaKent Allen, like, can we get a little floor pass catching kind of thing? But we have Tootin, so we've made our bet there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess theoretically Giddens is the handcuff for now to Taylor, and it's not a very strong class, but yeah.
Yeah. Circling back to the Patriots thing, Dubs exists. Absolutely. But also 3 wide receivers exist and 3 wide receiver sets. So we're going to have Dubs. We're going to have AJ Brown. And I'm asking who is going to be that 3rd wide receiver out there if they move on from Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah. I think it'll be a rotation with, as of right now, Mac Hollins and, Kyle Williams probably dividing up the work.
Yeah. And I mean, Mac Hollins is that guy that People trust him, or the coaches trust him.
And he's really good in the run game, which they like to run the ball. They want to play a balanced offense. Romeo Doubs is like fine, right? Like he's definitely like he got his second contract, good for him. Then he gets the trade. So it's free agent deal with the Patriots. So good for him. He's just not a special player, right? Like he's going to be 17 to 18% targets. Like that's just kind of what he is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't think he'll get more than that, even if they don't trade for AJ Brown. Like, I think it's just still going to kind of be what it is. I mean, you could get lucky and get like a spike season, 20% target share could happen for Dobbs, playing with a good player like Drake May.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. This is the final team. I'm going to recap it. I like how this one broke for us, Dwayne. Like getting a couple of the ADP values certainly helps, but I think we're able to accomplish a lot of the things that I go into these drafts wanting to do. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Darnold at quarterback, Chase Brown, Javonte, Tootin, Jonathan Brooks, 2 rookies at the end here, Katron Allen and McGowan. Wide receivers, JSN, AJ Brown, Waddle, Jaden Reed, Omar Cooper Jr., big ADP faller on Ayuk, Tank Dell, and Cooper Kupp, a little mishmash of veterans there. And then our 3 tight ends, Strange and Henry stacked up, and then an upside dart on Terrence Ferguson. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I think if you wanted to nitpick it, like you could argue, hey, doing Dell and Ayuk together with both having the injury question, like I think people could question that, but the upside is clearly there. And then I think at running back, we are a tad weak. We need Tootin or Brooks 1 to come through. Yeah. And then, we have extremely long shots on Katron Allen and Seth McGowan. So if I were nitpicking our team, it would probably be having gone one more running back sooner than what we did once we got to Katron and Seth McGowan.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes you look at the 2v2s and say, okay, like maybe we didn't have to take Lawrence there, even as an ADP faller. Like we sit and wait for Jordan Love, knowing whatever. Yeah. But even then, you look at the running backs available then, and you're still Monangai, J.K. Dobbins, Corum.
Monangai is one of the grossest clicks in my opinion right now.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Because we didn't talk about quarterbacks at all, and I'm going to let you go in a second here, but Chad asking, can we get a Ty Simpson temperature check? Do you have any Ty Simpson takes here? Is he a viable late round dart?
I think he's fine, as a late round dart. Like there's a chance, like we just had a report today, like the Steelers, right, are sniffing around. And so like if they were to take him in round 1 and Aaron Rodgers doesn't return, like we would assume like he's have a good shot at some point of taking over for Mason Rudolph in the season, but he doesn't stand out to me really in any particular way. Like we don't have a long track record on him. He's got like average traits. He's not a super big guy. Does run around a little bit. Like, so maybe you get something out of that. But historically, these guys that don't have very many games under their belt and they're not very big, like it's not like a great way to hit on a player as far as at the quarterback position. So Ty Simpson, like not trying to hate on him, but he should be a round 2 NFL pick, and it'd be better if he was developmental and not having to play in year 1, in my opinion.
Yep. Well, Dwayne, let people know, obviously the supermodel, which we were showcasing here. You also have full write-ups on all of these players, kind of using the supermodel data as a springboard for bigger conversations about them. What other stuff would you like people to check out over at Fantasy Life?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a big week coming with it being NFL draft week. So each day as we get the picks, we'll update the rookie supermodel. And then next week I will rewrite all these profiles for any of the big movers where we change the draft capital. We will retier them. And then also each night after the draft, I will be writing up my rookie rankings, and then we're just going to update them each day. So we'll have it up Friday morning, then we'll have it up Saturday morning, and then we'll have it up Sunday morning with all of it. So yeah, just lots of stuff on the way, and I'll be updating projections all through the weekend as well. So the projections are all live. Finished those up about 2 weeks ago. Feel really good about where those are at, and just being in a spot where we're ready, man, ready to respond to all the stuff from the NFL draft. So it from Thursday through Sunday, like I'll be grinding on all of this stuff over on fantasylife.com.
Yeah, make sure you guys are up there. Just so much stuff that you can get access to. Obviously the newsletter in your inbox every day, completely for free. You can get the shows on the Fantasy Life YouTube channel. You can get them in podcast form as well. And then all the supermodel goodness, Friedman, despite having a young infant, updating his mock drafts. but maybe forgot
Mock
about
draft
Casey
per
Concepcion.
hour from Friedman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dwayne, appreciate you as always. I think I'm going to draft one more team here with the crew, but I'm going to not keep you hijacked from your responsibilities all day. We'll see you soon.
Hey, appreciate you having me on, Pete. Had a good time.
All right. Peace,
50K
Dwayne.
each. Sounds good.
Yes. Send me your Venmo, brother. All right.
later.
Peace. All right. There goes Dwain McFarland from Fantasy Life. Always enjoy drafting with him. I think I got one more draft or drafts in me. Might have to put this to a vote. What do you guys want here? Let me get a vote going now that, StreamYard makes it easy for me to do so here. What draft this is what the question will be. How many little boards should I do? These are going to be your options. Option 1 is 1. We just do 1 little board there. Option 2 would be 2. We do 2 drafts again, maybe can talk through some spots, but we get a couple drafts in. Or the third and nuclear option is I have 7 more big board drafts left. 7 more left before I max it out, and I do 7 at once and all chaos happens. So this is what you're going to do. In the chat, if you want me to do 1 draft, type 1. If you want me to do 2 drafts, type 2. And if you want me to do 7 drafts, type 3. I know that last one's confusing, but that's how they do it here. The final option here, 7 drafts, the nuclear option. I have a feeling I know where this is going to go, but I figured I'd just put it up for a vote. Yeah, so these drafts lock Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I know my guy Raylish was in the chat upset about not having a bash. I'm thinking by Thursday afternoon that these are all going to be full. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, the little board's been slow to fill. We can play it by year. I just didn't want to overpromise and then rug pull. I'd rather play it safe. And then if we get a bash on Thursday, we get a bash. If not, a week from Thursday, we will have the first Best Ball Mania bash. Actually, the voting is closer than I thought. Some people like 1 draft. So I might have spoke too soon. Keep voting. 1 for 1 draft to end the show today. 2 for 2 drafts at once. And then 3 is the chaos option. You just get to watch me scramble and draft 7 teams at once to finish the stream and max it out. I personally don't have any OCD about not maxing out the contest for this one. So I'm perfectly content finishing with whatever it would be, 14 little board drafts. But for those of you who like chaos and also have OCD for me and want me to have maxed this, I am willing to comply if the votes say so. But it looks like 1 draft is going to win out. I'll let a few more votes trickle in here, and then we will get going with a final draft. If you guys are tuning in late, a few announcements from earlier in the show. First of all, so you think you can tout the fantasy reality show I'm hosting. Initially, I'd been posting the videos on the Deposit Kingdom YouTube channel. I've decided, after talking to my quants, that we are going to have it on its own YouTube channel. That is in the chat. It's pinned right now. I'm going to drop it in here again. If you're listening after the fact or watching after the fact, you can find the link in the show notes. Please subscribe to this new YouTube channel so you think you can tout all of the content for the reality show, including a forthcoming episode with Pat Mayo as my Simon Cowell is going to be on this YouTube channel. So make sure you guys subscribe. It's never fun launching a new YouTube channel starting from scratch. So help me out and get this thing off the ground. The other announcement that I mentioned, a week from today, we will have the first Best Ball Mania version of Best Ball Breakfast. My hope is that BBM is live by the time we go live at 10 a.m. I think it was a little later last year. I want to say I was like vamping for about an hour and then it went live. Regardless, I will be live next week at 10 a.m. for Best Ball Breakfast. And then we are going to have our guests, our new lineup for this summer. It's always going to be a solo draft to kick things off. A draft with Adam Levitan from ETR at 11 a.m., a draft with Sam Sherman, the defending BBM champ, at noon Eastern, and a draft with Pat Carrain, your BBM 3 champ, there at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be every single Monday from now until the start of the season or when these contests close. So hot best ball summer. is about to commence. And it looks like what is going to commence for us is a single draft. And I'm completely okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. 45% of you, 47 now would like me to do one draft. 15% of you would like me to do two drafts at the same time. And then 38% were down for the chaos. But I'm going to call it there. We're going to do one little board draft. Thank you guys for voting. And let's do one more of these here in these pre-NFL draft streets. – 38% of us need professional help. There you go. All right, what do we got? The 1-5. Is this where I've been all day? I feel like every time I do a draft on stream now, it's JSN and Trey McBride. I feel like I've drafted that team a million times. Let me refresh my exposures. I want to see how much JSN I have. It feels like a lot. All right, we'll get these synced. What is my JSN exposure to? JSN, I have 22.9%. So of round one guys, 5.7% Bijan, 8.6% Gibbs, 11.4% Chase, 22.9% JSN, 5.7% JT, 14.3% Christian McCaffrey, 11.4% CeeDee Lamb, 5.7% Amon-Ra, 5.7% Justin Jefferson, 2.9% Cook, and 2.9% Genty there rounding out round one. And I honestly, it's not that I have strong takes. It has been the RNG. I've just been getting a lot of 105s. I also think the JSN thing is I was taking him ahead of Puka a few times at 104 as well. So that contributed to it. But yeah, just have not had a lot of back end of round one slots, but that's fine. Yeah, no ranked choice voting. I am at the mercy of StreamYards. I mean, I used to have to go to YouTube to create the polls. I was talking about this last week. Just the fact that I can make polls in StreamYard now is a huge win. I am at the mercy of StreamYard's technology. Let's mix it up. Let's just mix it up. I cannot draft JSN for one time. Let's do JT. I barely take JT. We can take Jonathan Taylor at 1-5. I'm doing this for everyone in the chat who always says I'm a little worried about your running back room. I drafted 3 running backs through 6 rounds with Dwain, and someone said your running back room is scary thin. What do I have to do? Do I have to take 4 straight running backs for my running back room not to be scary thin? About to pick, let's see. Who else could be a guy that I haven't taken in round 2 here? I'm pretty smooth in round 2. I guess I'm light Barkley, but he's not going to make it back. Kenneth Walker, I'm at 14.3%. Jeremiah Love, 11.4. Trey McBride, 11.4. Drake London, 11.4. I'm pretty smooth in round 2. But yeah, I should have for you guys, like I said, the other part of Best Ball Breakfast this summer is going to be some voting for So You Think You Can Tout. And depending on when I can get the episode with Pat Mayo out, once that's out, I'm going to have some opportunities for you guys to vote, because I'm going to want you guys to be involved in helping me decide who's part of the show, who stays on the show, all of that good stuff. Closing it out with Hyperfragile, we might have to. Yeah, I'll pass on the tight end here. We'll take a running back. We'll go Hampton or Henry here, depending on who's available. We'll see what Freaky Bill does. He goes Hampton. Let's do Derrick Henry. This is the high T draft. We're going out with testosterone coursing through our veins. Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry to start. There we go. I will also say about So You Think You Can Tout. So a lot of the applications are have been public submissions. You know, people tag me on Twitter. I believe I've retweeted anyone who has tagged me and posted it publicly. There have been some very good public submissions. Just to get you guys hype, I will say this. My favorite submission that it just completely took me by surprise. It's from someone I don't know at all, had never known. That got submitted to me privately the other day. I immediately watched it 3 times. So that's just a little tease that even if you've watched every single submission video that I posted on Twitter, there are still some really, really good ones you guys haven't seen yet. And you will certainly see it in the Mayo video. But yeah, I had to give you that tease. And as I should say, keep them coming. We got just a few more days. It's going to lock on April 23rd, NFL draft night. That is when no more submissions can be submitted. And if you have yet to submit and are planning on submitting, be creative. That's all I can say. Be creative, be unique, have something new you bring to the table. Because I have a lot of applications that are relatively similar right now. And differentiating yourself, standing out is going to be an important thing to do at this stage of the game. And I'm going to stay on brand for this specific draft and take another running back here. I passed on George Pickens. I like George Pickens, but I like the idea of going 3 straight running backs to start here. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne Jr. Has Kansas City had a top 10 running back in the Mahomes era? I mean, there was a stretch there. I mean, like CEH was putting up top 10 running back numbers like right out of the gate his rookie year. Didn't he have like the 45-point game that opening series? But like a true top 10 running back talent? No. Yeah, Todd from PA. This was a funny one that hit my timeline, a submission. So Todd from PA, he's been in the fantasy industry for ages. When I first started coming up in the fantasy space, he would like mercilessly troll my content. Be like, this is bad. This isn't funny. This is dumb. And so I just muted Todd and moved on with my life. But over the years, he's wanted attention. He's wanted stuff for his content or whatever, but he submitted to the contest. And his true serum take, which you should go watch, I retweeted it on, I think it was Saturday night, was that he was just jealous of me and Davis, and that's why he was mean. But yeah, very funny, like the type of people coming out of the woodwork to submit. I think Todd from PA has followed and unfollowed me like 10 different times over the course of the past decade. As of last night, he refollowed me again. That is a little thing. The way my notifications are set up on Twitter, if you don't follow me, I will not see your posts. I only see posts from people who are following me. It's one of the best settings on X. So if you are submitting and you want me to see your post, make sure you're following me, because you could be surprised how many people do not do that. All right. We are about to pick again. We are certainly done with running backs, at least in this range. And I get one of my favorite picks in here in Zay Flowers. Pair Zay Flowers with Derrick Henry works for me. Welcome to the YouTube memberships, Chris. Even after saying my running backs are scary thin. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, on the application stuff, I have now reviewed, like if you put yourself in my shoes, I've reviewed 80 applications. I've watched 80 of these. I've been personally ranking them as we go, just to help myself stay organized. And I'm at the point now where I I've seen a lot of similar types of submissions, and I'm ready. Just blow my socks off. I need creativity, uniqueness. I need something that stands out. Not saying my eyes are bleeding from reviewing all these submissions. I genuinely enjoy doing it. But if it's just a cookie cutter template of, I drafted all these best ball teams, I made the Puppy 3 final, I always crush my home league, I think it'd be great for the show, you'll regret it if you don't pick me. Like, if you're just going to do that, don't send it in at this point. Don't send it in. I need you to pop. I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for you guys, but I need some energy and some creativity. All right, we're about to pick at 5-5. Mike Evans is the faller in this one. I actually feel good about the wide receiver options there. Dwain getting me hype on Waddle, who's here. I still like Christian Watson a good bit in this range. Evans is the faller. Evans falls almost 8 picks here. Sure. Let's do Mike Evans here at pick 53. This is just the grown-ass man draft. JT, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans. Then we also have Travis Etienne and Zay Flowers. Sorry, Etienne and Zay Flowers. I'm not giving you the grown-ass man moniker. Scary mask. I will say I actually have an update to our potential villain, Cole. He has officially dropped out of the race. He sent me an email and he said that he has decided that he will enjoy following the competition as a viewer rather than a participant. So yeah, if you guys missed the most recent vlog, it's this one here. Someone already fired shots. Now we have a beef. Cole is featured in this video as well. He submitted a very creepy Heath Ledger Joker homage that piqued my interest. But then when I hopped on the call with him, he kind of dropped the shtick, and it didn't seem like it was quite going to work out. But I was rooting for him to be the villain. I thought it would be a good energy, a good presence to have. But Cole has officially dropped out. So if you want to play true heel, that's another lane you could potentially occupy in the So You Think You Can Tout universe. All right, we got JT, Derrick Henry, ETN, Zay Flowers, and Mike Evans here. The quarterbacks are all available. Because of how many quarterbacks are still here, I think we just take Mekhi Lemon. That's been the theme of today's show, right? I've taken a bunch of Lemon, but we want to get some more upside in this wide receiver room after not taking any through round 3. So let's grab Lemon here to pair with Zay, Evans in these running backs, JT, Henry, ETN. Any other applicants to the show on this draft? See, it's enough to ask me to keep straight YouTube usernames, Twitter usernames, asking me to try to triangulate them with underdog usernames. I have no clue. But you can announce yourself in the chat if you are an applicant and in this draft. I still would. I have not received one submission from a lady, and it disappoints me. It disappoints me. I've been trying to do my best to promote it every possible place I can. I'm actually doing a Reddit AMA this afternoon, hoping to get it in front of some more people over there. But if you know anyone in your life of the female persuasion who has some talent, good on camera, or likes fantasy football, or preferably see all of the above, I would love to see their application. But right now, as of now, 80 gentlemen have applied. Okay, we're about to pick at 7-5. I feel good about passing on quarterback there. It was like Jaden or Lemon, just knowing we had this wall of quarterbacks here. So we're going to be able to take like Hurts, Caleb, or May here. I think this is the sweet spot to grab a quarterback. May goes. I'm happy to take Hurts here at 77. Like, I know AJ Brown's gone. I know he struggled last year, but even just hanging your hat on the rushing stuff there, the tush pushy, all that good stuff. I mean, Jalen Hurts at 77. I just don't know how that's not a value still. Thank you, Steph. Appreciate it. Steph says she's going to post it in her ladies group. Who's the oldest to submit a tout video? I mean, I don't know the ages of everybody, but there's definitely some guys in their 60s, I would want to guess. I don't think anyone's been in their 70s, but I want to say there's been some guys in their 60s. The YouTube metrics are actually not as polarized as that. I mean, it's still extreme guys, but it's not 99.9%. But yeah, I mean, it's as I said on a show, it's definitely a sample size thing. There's just way more men who consume fantasy content who watch these videos. So that's certainly part of it. But I was hoping, if we get 100 applications, which I don't know, we might get close to 100. I would hope there'd be one in there, one or two. I guess I failed. Back on the clock. What do we want to do here? I think we want to keep stacking wide receivers. Solver likes Ricky Pearsall here. I am good with that as well. Ricky Pearsall at pick 92. He's our wide receiver 4 with Zay, Evans, and Lemon. I don't know why the way this is phrased. Zane says one elderly contestant would be lit. You're right. It would be. It would be. LED here. Assuming the AJB news is true, how high should Smith go? By Ladd, I prefer him. I mean, I prefer Devontae Smith over Ladd with AJ Brown there. So Ladd's not a good benchmark for me. I really think that Devontae Smith should be an early round 3 pick right now. Like, I think him at pick 33 here to Haterade, I think that's a good value. I think Devontae Smith as the number 1 wide receiver for the Eagles is going to ball the fuck out. Now, say that they were able to maneuver and get Omar Cooper Jr., say they draft a round 2 guy who ends up being really good. I guess that could like tilt the scales a little bit. But when you factor in Devontae Smith's talent and a 5% target share boost, I mean, we're starting to feel really, really good about him. This is a player we have drafted at the end of round 2 with AJ Brown on the team. Like, we have priced him there previously, and now the runway for a massive target share would be there. I mean, I couldn't be more excited about the thought of alpha Devontae Smith. All right, we're about to pick at 9-5. We got Hurts. We got our 3 running backs up top. We got our 4 wide receivers. This could be a wide receiver pick or just staying on track at running or a quarterback. I think we do Brock Purdy with Pearsall. Now we kind of have flexibility. Like, we can get a QB3 at a value if we want. Maybe Baker slides. That's really the only stack thing. We could do Daniel Jones with Jonathan Taylor. That kind of QB running back pairing was working pretty well at the beginning of last year. Seems like you guys are high on Devontae with me. Should be near London or Rice. Round 4 bags feel good. Absolutely. Smith feels like this year's JSN. I mean, that's the comps that the Philly sources. That quote is percolated twice. When Matthew Berry was at the Combine, he talked to some Philadelphia Eagles sources who referenced a JSN-esque leap for Devontae Smith this year. The most recent report, I don't know if it was Fowler or whoever was talking about it. They also made the exact same comparison about a JSN-esque leap for Devontae Smith. That's asking a lot. I mean, the leap that JSN made last year is insane. But even if he gives us 70% of what JSN did last year, whatever, he's going to massively outperform a round 4, late round 3 ADP. 2, 3, 4 here. Final best ball breakfast before the NFL draft. If you guys do one thing from today's show, the one action item, I'm not even asking you to like the stream. I want you to reserve all of your energy. And I know how much energy and how taxing it is to like a stream. I just want you guys to subscribe to the new So You Think You Can Tout YouTube channel. That's my one call to action. I don't want you to waste or expend any additional energy on any other things. Your one thing I want you to do is subscribe to So You Think You Can Tout, so I can get this new channel off the ground. Back on the clock. Let's see here. I'm going to grab Kittle. We got Purdy. I love Kittle as part of these rooms, especially where I punt tight end and I want to build in some late season upside there. I think Kittle makes too much sense as our first tight end. I mean, this is kind of what we're talking about if AJB gets traded. I mean, at this point, I think we can just say win. I feel like the probabilities have increased pretty significantly, even over the past couple of weeks, culminating in the report to today. It seems like it's happening. So I do think ADP is sticky in that it's really hard for risers to rise as fast as they should. But I do think he is going to be a round 2, 3 turn pick. So at this 2, 3 turn right here, you see Rashee Rice, you see Nico, you see Olave, AJ Brown. He's going to be in this mix. Now, how long does it take for him to actually get there? I don't know. But I would start baking that in now. So I think where people are grabbing him 33, like this is good. Like you're not playing too much chicken. Like you're making sure you still get him, but you're also still trying to ensure yourself a little bit of CLV. LED, am I crazy for 100% CMC fade through 40 drafts? No. 40 drafts, that's about how much I have. And like even just accidentally, I'm at like 3% on a few guys. So 0% through 40. I feel like if you did 100 drafts and you had 0% CMC, I might be like, well, that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. Man, wide receivers getting chewed up. Let's just do the Omar Cooper Jr. thing again. Downs win. I would have loved Downs on this team because we had JT, might be setting up a Daniel Jones, but Downs goes at 118. We'll just take Omar Cooper at 125. Yeah, Ben, as Rick said here, Ben's asking how high do AJB and May rise in all subsequent Pats? We kind of dug into this with Dwain. So if you guys are just tuning in late, make sure you watch the appearance from Dwain McFarland from Fantasy Life. We talked through this spot because we took AJ Brown on our draft. How much does Goddard rise when target competition lights up? Again, like no one's ever excited about Goddard. So I think it would be a slow trickle, but projections will like him. Rankings will like him. That will naturally start to push him up. He goes here at this draft at 129. So where do we think he could go? I mean, he's not going to pass like Kraft and Pitts, but this round 9 range that had no tight ends going, doesn't it feel like there's a vacuum for Goddard to get up here? I could certainly see him flipping Gadsden and Laporta. I could see him being like an early 100s pick, 103, 104, 105 Goddard range. Sure. Wicks as well. I mean, his ADP's been moving. You know, I think last week when we did this stream, he was 195. He's at 181.7. So people are targeting him. And so should I in this draft. Note to self. We're about to pick for round 12 here. And I feel good about how I played quarterback in this draft. I've like hit the pockets, the value pockets nicely, which isn't always the case. Depending what Freaky Bill does here, I would love to add Indiana Jones as my third quarterback on this team. He goes Stroud. I get Jones right at ADP. Pair him up with Jonathan Taylor. Hurts, Purdy, Jones. Jonathan Taylor, Henry, ETN. Zay Flowers, Mike Evans, Lemon, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper Jr., and then George Kittle. I guess you could make the argument to have taken Goddard over Kittle at pick 116, both of them stacked with my quarterbacks, Hurts and Purdy. But I figured I'd just play the ADP game in case I could get both. And Goddard does almost come back. Or no, sorry, I took Omar Cooper Jr. over Goddard. So maybe I should have just pulled the trigger on Goddard there. It's funny because my brain was looking at the tier gap at wide receiver there with Omar Cooper Jr. But I wonder about, in hindsight, I almost think I'd like Goddard there. Just stack up both of those undervalued tight ends and then figure out another wide receiver option, especially with Denzel Boston still on the board. I think I'd like that one back. I think I should have gone Goddard instead of Omar Cooper. I am going to tab off of quarterbacks because I do not need any of those anymore. We have not taken a running back since pick 29, which is fine. I mean, we made our bets. They are on Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and Travis Etienne. But we're going to want a few other names here. This range is really gross. I think Solver likes Brenton Strange. I think man, I can't believe I have 17.1% Brenton Strange, but he pairs well with a guy like Kittle where I'm going to need some early season production here. And I think Strange can get the job done for me there. So we'll grab Strange to help chaperone Kittle. Ben says he thinks Hollywood feels like the way to play the Eagles. That wide receiver 2 will become more of a commodity than before. I don't know, man. If I'm placing my bets on Wicks or Hollywood for wide receiver 2 there, give me Wicks. I mean, Hollywood had such a runway, such an opportunity in KC with the best quarterback in football and just looked cooked. At least Wicks has shown an ability to earn targets. I would not be assuming Hollywood over Wicks personally. Now, the biggest wrinkle there is if they do draft a wide receiver, which it sounds like they will, that could have a pretty good trickle-down effect because all of a sudden Wicks goes from this pretty intriguing wide receiver 2 to back to like the wide receiver 3 burner. Maybe he is in a rotation with some of those other guys, and it's Devontae, rookie, as the main guys in 2 wide receiver sets. But, I mean, I'm not going to quibble with Wicks at 180. How are we doing on our So You Think You Can Tout subs? Up to 81. Appreciate you guys. Like I said, a new video. This is going to be like the first real episodes. Like, we had the announcement video. We've had kind of 2, I don't know, vlog style, hodgepodge videos. The first real episode with Mayo, the audition video, that'll be coming out early next week, hopefully. Solver suggests Hunter Henry here. I like that suggestion as well. Again, how do we make this George Kittle bet work? Well, let's pair him with Strange and Henry early and then let George Kittle cook for us late, which is funny because the team we just drafted with Dwain also had Strange and Henry. We also were searching for some more tight end upside and took Terrence Ferguson late. In this one, we get the upside piece early in Kittle and then backfill the production with Strange and Henry. People talking about Jawan Jennings. Yeah, I wrote about this on for Fantasy Life last week about there's these veteran wide receivers who I just like have not been clicking. Juwan Jennings, 0%, Diggs, 3.3, Ayuk, 6.7, Debo, 0, Tyreek Hill, 6.7. And I was trying to be honest and kind of interrogate my blind spots and kind of pull back and say, okay, which ones of these are justified? Which ones do I actually feel are smart fades? Which ones do I think might be a mistake? The one guy I really came away from being more open to was Diggs. I think I forgot how solid he was last year. 10.13 yards per target. That's 10th in the league. He hauled in 85% of his targets with May. I think Diggs still has a little juice available. Jennings, I was a little more conflicted on in a way that I was comfortable with his fade, feeling like it's kind of like a multi-leg parlay where you need him to sign somewhere decent and then also return to form after seeing his production dip last year relative to 2024. All right, let's do the Wicks thing. I mean, we just talked about how this could certainly backfire, but there's just no one else here really jumping out to me. So we will continue to be part of the group of people who pushed Dontavian Wicks' ADP up more. Yeah, Diggs to Washington, that actually would be a really nice fit. No running back correlation with Juwan and ETN. Yeah, I could have done that. I mean, where did Juwan Johnson go? 175. So yeah, I could have done that. But I prefer Henry and Strange to him. I do like, breaking ties in direction of those team level bets, but I don't think the running back tight end correlation was enough for me to take Juwan Johnson over Henry or Strange. It is crazy, like talking about Jennings and Ayuk. It's like, I don't know. It's like how they used to say that the Seattle Seahawks have never played a normal game of football. Have the San Francisco 49ers ever had a normal wide receiver? It just feels like in the past 10 years, there is always some kind of drama or controversy surrounding their wide receivers. Even Debo, right? It's like, oh, Debo's like a gimmick wide receiver. He's more of a running back. Look, maybe I do Hollywood Brown. Let's do Singleton here, though. If we're going to have these three veteran backs up top, we can take some rookie swings to round out this running back room. We'll grab Singleton as our RB4. So we have a 3-4-6-3. We have 4 more picks left. We're good at quarterback. Running back room is chugging along. JT, Henry, ETN. We add Singleton. Wide receiver room, we need to kind of build out this wide receiver room because we didn't take Zay until the 4th. We do have Zay, Evans, Lemon, Pearsall, Omar Cooper Jr., Wicks. We're definitely adding 2, if not 3 more wide receivers. I mean, we're done at quarterback and tight end. So this is probably 1 more running back dart and 3 more wide receivers. I think so. On this hyper fragile build, we're probably getting to 9 wide receivers. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm just going to reach way ahead of ADP to get a guy. We talked about him with Dwain. Dwain was talking about how much he liked Chris Bell. We talked about how he's been connected with the Eagles. Now we're going to take the 2 rookie wide receivers who have seemed to get the most buzz with the Eagles on our Jalen Hurts team. So we're just going to reach and grab Chris Bell here. I think just get lazy and default to ADP, play the ADP game with these rookie wide receivers, which means a lot more Jeremy Bernard, 14.3%, a lot more Surratt, 11.4%. Let's go ahead and grab Chris Bell here, who we only have 5.7% of. Chris Bell feels like a year 2 guy, late ACL. Yeah. I mean, the truth is most of these guys are going to be zeros or year 2 guys. But I just don't want to lapse into clicking the same guys over and over again, especially if the draft capital is going to be good for Bell here. Where do we have Bell on our Fantasy Life big board? Right after Omar Cooper Jr. 6'2", 220. Late breakout, though, an ACL could cloud his draft slot. His draft pick data still at 52, even with that injury. Three, 4, 7, 3. 3 more picks. This will likely be my last pre-NFL draft. And then I will rest up for BBM drafting season. I know there's been some questions about when exactly BBM drops. The past couple years, it's been Monday mid to late morning Eastern time. I hope it's live by 10 a.m. Eastern, because that's when I go live, and I would love to draft a team off the rip. Last year, I want to say it was like a little after 11 a.m. I think Pat and I maybe had to vamp for a second. Here you go. For the people on the Wicks versus Hollywood Brown, how about this? I have just tried to draft every single possible wide receiver that the Eagles could be connected with. We have a Jalen Hurts team. We don't have Devontae Smith, which would have been nice. I would love to swap out Zay for Devontae Smith on this team. But then we have Omar Cooper Jr. and Chris Bell, who have been linked to the Eagles. And then we have Wicks and Hollywood Brown. So we are just Eagles wide receiver maxing right now. Oh, no. This I will not do. Luckily, I think Tank Bigsby's gone. Luckily, someone already took Tank Bigsby, so I don't have to be tempted. One more pick here. I think probably, or sorry, 2 more picks. 2 more picks. So one will be a running back, one will be a wide receiver. Can someone in the chat sell me on a pick to be excited about? Should we just do Damon Claiborne again at the running back position? This is who is available. Let me get the informal votes in the chat. Kamani Vidal, Ollie Gordon, Justice Hill, Trey Benson, Jaden Blue, George Holani, Damon Claiborne, Amari DiMarcado, DJ Giddens, LaKent Allen, Chris Brooks, Seth McGowan. The quarterback. So my teams are Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Indiana. The running back room is just JT, Henry, Etienne, and Singleton so far. Take Stewart. Literally the first time I'm hearing this name. Terrion Stewart. I'll put him in the queue. I'll put all suggestions in the queue. George Holani. That was your first suggestion, Index. Fine, I'll put all your suggestions in, but I need more votes. Adam Randall. Giddens. But do we want, I don't know if I want to do Giddens behind JT. You know what? Zane was first to vote. Here we go. Here's a share of Terrion Stewart. What do I need to know about this guy that I just took? Legit have not heard his name until you mentioned him. What do we say about him on our big board? Probably not great how far I have to scroll for this guy. He's not even on our big board. Who did I just click? Zane? Who did I just click, sir? I trusted you. He's not even on our big board. Who in God's name is Terrion Stewart? VTech? 24-year-old? What did he play behind Tootin? I don't know about this. This dude played 5 years at Bowling Green and then got a 6th year at Virginia Tech? What is this, the Van Wilder of running backs? I guess he sat out 2022. Holy shit. Wow. Evan, where are you? Where are you, Evan? Or Zane. Sorry, it's not Evan. Zane. I need you to come and defend this selection. And look, I know most of these picks are bad. It's hard to find gems, but I need you to explain who I just drafted per your suggestion. He's athletic? Okay. All right. That's all I needed to hear. I just needed somebody. No, Zane, you need to explain yourself. Don't let Rick do the work for you. The question is, I think we're done at running back. I can't take another Terrion Stewart. I just can't. Let's take another wide receiver here. Let's take a rookie wide receiver. Man, this bad, huh? Is there anything? We'll do Nick Westbrook-Akine. I have not had an excuse to take Nick Westbrook-Akine. Dude's got a nose for the end zone. This is a Daniel Jones team. So there you go. We stacked that bitch up. Stacked it up. Here it is. Final team. Let's recap. My 14th edition in the little board. And boy, was it a journey. I mean, the amount of things that have happened in my little board journey. We multi-tabled 2. We multi-tabled 5. We did a draft with BB Chosen on the bash. We did a draft with Go AZ Cards. We did 2 drafts this morning with Jay Swez, the world's biggest Lamar Jackson, Emmett Johnson, Khalil Shakur, Jaden Higgins fan. We drafted one with Dwain. Really nice team with Dwain. And then I just did my final team here. I'll recap it for you guys. Did someone win the Boston Marathon yet? Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So they were saying the course was going to play fast today. And it did. In John Career set a new course record. And they're both Kenyans. The female lady was the defending champ. Wow. John Career, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, destroys 15-year-old Boston Marathon course record running it in 2 hours, 1 minute and 52 seconds. I just had to do the math on it because it never gets old blowing my mind about what that pace is. That's an average pace, you guys, of 4 minutes and 39 seconds per mile. That shouldn't be physically possible. I could spend the rest of my life trying to run one 4:39 minute mile, and I don't think I'd ever be able to do it. And this dude just did it for 26 miles on a hilly course. 4:39 per mile is just insane shit. Sorry for turning Best Ball Breakfast into to Marathon Monday, but it's just wild to me, guys. It's just wild to me what the human body can do. But let me recap my final draft. That's what's really important here. The true feat, the true impressive feat is drafting 14 little board teams. The squad, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Daniel Jones at quarterback. We went hyper fragile. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne. We then drafted Nicholas Singleton and some dude named Terrion Stewart I was led astray by Zane in the chat. The wide receivers, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans, Mekhi Lemon, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper Jr., Dontavian Wicks, Chris Bell, Hollywood Brown, and Nick Westbrook-Akine. Honestly, don't mind that for a spray and pray build there at wide receiver. Tight ends are good. George Kittle, Brenton Strange, Hunter Henry. We did it. We did it. I believe this concludes my little board journey. You can leave a little candle on for a Thursday bash stream, but I don't know. I feel closure. I feel closure here. I appreciate everybody who has come along for the pre-NFL draft ride on Best Ball Breakfast. It's always such a funny thing because I come in so blind when I start drafting these teams. When did I start drafting? Beginning of March, after my little hiatus. And I feel like we go on this journey. You guys point and laugh at me and all of my holes in my drafting acumen because I'm so rusty and I don't know the rookies and I don't know the ADP. And then we go on a journey. And I'm not going to say I figured it out because I certainly didn't figure it out, but I at least felt more comfortable today than I did 6 weeks ago when we started drafting. So thank you guys for being my Sherpas, my chaperones on this pre-NFL draft journey. But next Monday, a week from today, that's when the real fun starts. That's when the millions of dollars are up for grabs. That's when our guests will start rolling through for weekly appearances. That's when the real money's on the line. Absolutely can't wait. Best Ball Breakfast, Best Ball Mania drafts. So you think you can tout is going to start heating up as we actually narrow down these applicants to some contestants. I got lots of fun news and announcements coming on that front. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the So You Think You Can Tout channel. Please, I'm begging you. And I never beg, but I'm begging you to subscribe to this so I don't have to stare at these paltry subscriber numbers. Until then, rest of the schedule this week. Tomorrow, Off and on the Clock with John and Nez. We're going to do two things. It's going to be a two-part show. The first part, we're going to talk World Cup drafts. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of school, but those contests are going to be dropping very soon. We're going to have a guest, Fear My Turtle from ETR, soccer ball knower, get our first kind of toes in the water, so to speak, on World Cup drafts on Underdog. That'll be very fun. Second half of the show, we're going to do what we've done the previous 2 years. We're going to do our guessing game for landing spots for the NFL draft, and then we score them after the fact. We'll just go around the horn for the top skill position player. So that'll be a fun show. We'll have the Swolecast at 3 p.m. as usual. No ADP chasing this week, no regular ship chasing show because we're putting all of our energy into that Thursday night round 1 NFL draft extravaganza. That'll start at 8 p.m. Eastern. I can tell you some of the guests we've booked so far. We're going to have Ron Stewart. We're going to have Cooter Doodle. We're going to have Sam Sherman. We're going to have Laquan Jones. He's going to come on and talk to us about the Rams. We are going to have Steph. We're going to have Nez. We're going to have Sack and Dricko. We're going to have Mike Shope. Lots of friends from the ship chasing universe. Gretch is going to be in the fold, along with myself, Karain, Davis, and Jacob. That'll be Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturday night, you YouTube members can tune in for an ADP landscape review with Sacrilegious. So fun week on tap, not to mention all the stuff with So You Think You Can Tout. Thank you again to Dwayne. Thank you to the chat. We will see you guys next time on Best Ball Breakfast. Peace.